Okay, maganda gabi ho. Welcome mo sa ating program. Welcome mo sa Wintry UK, no? Well, UK ho to dahil halos lahat na ho, no? Scotland, England, parts of everywhere. Winter time, nagtataka nga ako, sabi ko, napakalamig, you know? Pagkalamig-lamig. Anyway, good evening ho. Welcome to our program. It's a happy Tuesday. Ako po si Sonny Laragan dito po sa programang Legal Advice Corner, no? Ako ho ang those of you, no, ngayon lang nakapag-tune in first time. Hindi ho ako ang tunay na host nitong programa na to. Ang pinaka-host ho natin, yung pinakamamahal ho nating managing director ho ng Deo Volentes Solicitors. Ito yung walang iba kundi si Attorney Danna QUinto. Attorney, magandang gabi sa'yo.
Magandang malamig na gabi, Mr. Laragan. It is the winter, the return of the winter time here in Bedford in the UK. So yes, it's good evening, remote support bubble. I think my feedback. I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh yes. I can hear it. Yes, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Oo nga pala. Yes, I can hear it.
Sure.
Anyway, good evening sa iyo. Nakalimutan ko pala
It's
isuot yung
okay.
aking yung
It's
aking
fine. It's gone now. It's alright.
Oo nga, earpiece. So good evening ho sa inyong lahat. Attorney, magandang gabi sa iyo at na-miss ka namin ha. 1 week, every week nami-miss ka namin, no? We get to yes. Teka na, inaayos ko lang yung aking earpiece. Mahaba kasi nagkakwentuhan tayo off-air kasi bago mag-show at kaya ako'y nakalimutan ko i-set up yung aking earpiece, no? Sandali lang ha. Ayusin lang ho natin to. Double check lang natin.
Sa mga
Ayan,
wala
okay na.
sa UK ngayon, it feels like 4 seasons today kasi ewan ko umulan ba? Hindi naman ata umulan, but throughout the weekend it feels like a little bit like 4 seasons. Uminit, umulan ng konti o may konting ampon and nag-snow na
yes.
naman. So it does feel like 4 seasons. Bank holiday weekend, so we just had a long 4-day weekend. It's been great actually. So, lahat ata
Oo nga,
tayo
mahaba.
naman.
So what did you do? Anong ginawa mo? What did you do so far?
I just stayed at home. I was doing some online training, and that's probably one of the things you saw. I picked up a new hobby. I'm back into I'm back in sports, but a different type of sports. And I went to my chiropractor, which I was telling you about. So mas ano po ako ngayon, mas mindful ako sa posture ko. Pinagsabihan ako ng chiropractor ko na you have to sit properly, kung hindi PSA, Public Service Advisory, we all have to sit properly. We only have one spine, sabi ng chiropractor ko.
All
So
right.
because we're all, I don't know about you, but we're sitting down quite, typing away. We're doing, actually, yung madalas natin gawin, nakayuko, tapos nagte-text or nagsa-social media. And it's creating that bend on our neck, that pressure, na actually that's a huge baggage dun sa spine natin. And what tends to happen, because I was telling you earlier, I had this injury 11 years ago now. My 5th rib popped.
11 years ago. Wow.
11
Really?
years ago, it was a yoga injury. I was doing dancer's pose. It was my fault. No one else's fault. It was my own fault. So I had my 5th rib popped out of my back. I didn't know then. So parang bata, masakit lang yung likod ko. And I carried on with it for 5 years hanggang I went to a local osteopath. So parang mix ng chiropractor and soft tissue na sports massage or sports rehab. And within 20 minutes, they managed to diagnose me, and they did yung adjustment na sa back. And they put you in unusual, I don't
Position or prone position ba? Hindi.
parang may mga ganon, and then yung neck ko din tinrakan. It was absolutely brilliant kasi talagang naramdaman ko na parang guminhawa yung feeling ko, nagkaroon ng release. And that was very similar to what I felt yesterday na na-open up yung because I was feeling tiredness here and sa back. Akala ko all the injury ko, but actually a bit of that. And a bit about posture habang
Parang
nasa
nako-conscious ako tuloy ah.
Oo,
Oo,
na-conscious.
oh,
Nakaka-conscious
attorney,
talaga ako.
nako-conscious talaga sa posture ko,
Oo,
no? Oo.
naka-conscious talaga ako eh. I find myself na sabi niyo, oh, you have to reach the ceiling with your head. And actually, it's little things like this. Nag-i-invest tayo sa kung ano-ano. Nag-invest tayo sa vitamins, sa private
Mhm.
medical. Nag-invest tayo sa kung ano-ano. Little things like this. It doesn't cost anything. All you have to do is to mind your posture, do a bit of exercise, stretching exercises a few times a day, and
How
that's a
many
huge
times? How many
investment.
times yan? How many times?
Sabi niya sa akin 10 times. 10 times
Ten?
a day yung stretch.
Really? And are you serious? 10 times a day daw?
I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah,
Wow,
because
wow,
nilagay niya talaga
wow.
dun sa ano.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I have to do like that on the other side, and then something like that, and or something else like moving my neck. So about 30 seconds each, or about parang ganon. A few times. It will take a couple of minutes, 10 times a day. So parang every hour when you want to go to the bathroom or you want to
Oo, oo.
get
Parang
home.
parang hourly, di ba? Tama. Dahil eight hours a
Early may
day.
assignment ako. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
But
All
if
right.
you want to look at it, we all do all this investment sa buhay natin because we want to have a good future. We want to have a good health. But ito yung mga libreng-libre na investment sa health natin. Doing sports, doing a bit of just stretching. Imagine a month's learn. That's all it.
S-
That's all
s-
it is.
Sports, ito, mga ito, merong
Yes,
sport,
yes.
diba? Sport dito, ayan, oh. When was it?
That's
Ito yung
really
ano, when was this? I saw you posting something like, finally it arrived, yeah, something like that. Yun ba yan? Yung,
yes. Ang tawag po dyan is gi. That's called a gi. So that is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gi. So the sport is called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's different from Taekwondo, which kung nakita niyo dun sa pinost ko na yung maliit ako, I did Taekwondo when I was
mm,
younger. Marami nakakaalam sa Taekwondo kasi kilala sa Pilipinas yan eh. Taekwondo and
yes, oo.
karate. Less known ang Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Walang suntukan. It's about grappling. It's very good actually. It's a self-defense combat sport, but self-defense.
Mm,
It's very very good for they call it the smaller uh, na participant to be able to defend yourself to a larger opponent. So for women, it's a very good sport, and that's the reason why we're promoting it as well. We're showing photos and we're showing experiences. Kasi it's really for me. It's nung bata ako when I did martial arts. It's very it was a very good experience to instill discipline, to instill that sort of structure, but as well as that freedom to express power in a different way, in a very constructive way, na hindi lang basta-basta magiging aggressive, but actually you know how to handle that. So for me, that's very good. That's very interesting. It's a very interesting way of looking at looking. So look it up, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh,
Jiu-Jitsu came from Japan,
mhm.
and then the Brazilians, the Gracies, it's a very interesting history. They developed it and it developed further. And yun nakikita nyo sa MMA, kung narinig nyo na yun, yung mga
Mm,
UFC fights. It's actually a mix of jiu-jitsu, lots of techniques of jiu-jitsu, the grappling technique, subduing the opponent. It's very useful in practical life, especially if you're a woman, even though if you're not a woman, if you think that you would like to be armed with a skill set in terms of yung perils of the world these days when you're
mhm.
walking in the street, or just generally to increase your confidence level in terms of handling stress. Kasi magandang stress reliever din siya, Mr. Laragan. So, in terms of, it's
Y-
a pretty cool sport. Maganda yung uniform. Maganda yung warrior uniform guys. Very different. They have different colors. You can have black, you can have blue, you can have white. So yeah, that's Brazilian
Walang
Jiu-Jitsu.
particular color. I remember
The
looking
feet,
at your photo nung bata ka sa taekwondo mo? Nakakulay green ka yata? Green belter ka ba rin?
No, that's belt. That's a belt. So the same with Taekwondo, mostly you'll see just a plain white,
Mm-hmm.
and then your color belt. May belt the system din sila sa Jiu-Jitsu. So you have
Mm-hmm.
white belt, you get the stripes, you get, I think you get the blue, you get purple, brown, and black
Mm-hmm.
in a different switch of different colors as well. May color system yung belt. The belt indicates your maturity mo sa sport, but in terms of the gi, which is yung
Mm-hmm.
parang kimono,
Okay.
that's much more yung colors sa Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you have blue, you have white, you have black. In terms of the kimono, in terms of the belt, you have to be promoted. Kailangan ka i-promote ng isang what we call dojo. You have to be promoted by a certain team to do that, to go to the upper level. But I think in general, it's a very good sport. Maganda yung they call it the gentle art. It's almost like a puzzle, being able to solve a problem. When someone's tackling you down, how to get out of that. And it's very interesting. It's very empowering for people who you think na when you see jiu-jitsu, Mr. Laragan, you see
Mm.
smaller people being
Oo.
able to subdue much larger opponents purely because of their technique. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
that is the interesting part of Brazil, and it's not about gusto mo makipag-away. Most of the time, it's just self-defense. If someone much larger than you is
Mm-hmm.
attacking you, so that one of the core techniques in jiu-jitsu is being able to shift yung momentum from that advantage, that disadvantage, turning that into an advantage. In sometimes streets, it's just a street attack, maybe because ang dami nating naririnig these days about street attacks, about all this sort of thing. So I'm just a newbie. So and I have a bit of a background in Taekwondo, but I'm a plain newbie. I'm more of a fan of the sport. I really like the philosophy behind it. When people talk about it, it becomes a lifestyle for them as well. Most of them are very soft spoken. Most of them are very, very disciplined about it. So for me, it's very interesting. If you're into martial arts, it's one of those things that you'll probably, and even so, it's one of those things that may interest a lot of people. And it's not gaining a lot of mainstream attention because it's been niche so far, but madami. I'll tell you a few names, celebrities. The late Anthony Bourdain, if you know of him, he's a
Mm-hmm.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu belter. Demi
American ano yan, di
Lovato,
ba? American ano ba yan? Chef or some?
he was a chef. Unfortunately, he passed away
Oh, okay. Yes.
a couple of years ago. Demi Lovato,
Oh, Demi
um, uh,
Lovato. Okay.
Demi Lovato practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Ashton Kutcher is a pretty decent brown belt ata. So,
Ah, all right.
or
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ashton Kutcher. So a
Si
few
Ashton ba yung ex-husband ni Demi Moore?
Demi Moore, quite right. Yeah.
Ah, okay. All
So
right.
a few
Okay.
people, are Keanu Reeves na nata. Keanu
Si
Reeves. I'm
Keanu
not sure. I
Reeves.
think Keanu Reeves. So
Pero
a
ang
few.
tanong, ang question is, how did you get, okay, when you were young, so how did you get into it? Was it your dad who more or less influenced you or egged you into going into it? Or dahil gusto niya yung kanyang daughter, wag apihin, awayin, at least marunong mag-defend. How did it all come about? Paano
No,
nagsimula itong ano? Hindi ko makita, hinahanap ko, kaya ako medyo
kasi may nahanap yan.
hinahanap ko yung photo mo na side by side, no?
Okay,
Pinakita mo,
I'll
no?
send it. Yeah, I'll send it.
Oo, oo.
Wala, nagkataon na po kasi parati akong pinapatry. A lot. I've tried quite a fair bit of things. I think I even tried ballet but wasn't good at it at all. Talagang hindi, wala talaga akong ano. And then may summer class. And yung cousin ko, tsaka ako,
Saan to?
we
Sa
were
Manila
looking
ba o
for,
sa ano pa? Sa Mindanao
sa
pa?
Coronadal po, sa Coronadal,
Ah,
sa
sa
Coronadal,
Coronadal na. Okay,
Coronadal.
all right.
So, there was a summer class, and they said, you know what, maganda din magka-sports ka, so why don't you try this? And I was like, well,
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but sabi, try ko daw eh. And my cousin was going, so, okay din, kasi may kasama ko pinsan ko. So, okay lang, hindi naman siguro ako aapi-apihin dun. So, it was a small, hindi naman small, super from different schools. And that was a good thing. Kasi parang ako, nagkaroon ako ng, ng, ng connection outside, ng friends outside school. I was young, I was 10, I think. It was summer. And talagang solid everyday yung training. And doon ko nalaman, oh my God, talagang, alam mo yung pag-uwi mo, parang grabe naman to. And I really enjoyed it. I really
Really?
enjoyed it.
All right.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I remember, hindi ko pa masyado alam nun, and they said, look, we can promote you, and you can get a different size belt. And I was sparring talaga, ha? And we got to spar. It was really good. We had the body, yung parang cushion, mga body armor na ano. But we were sparring, and I was sparring with a boy, and he turned out much later. He turned out to be a black belt. Later, he pursued it. I was sparring with people my size, and it was good. It was really good, but it didn't feel like we were arguing. We were friends. We get to be friends after sparring. Like you win sometimes, you lose, and you say, "Oh, okay, thank you," you know. So after that, and it was a whole summer. I got promoted. Nag-green belt ako. I think I did it again. I got promoted twice. But I was getting to that point na they were getting bigger. So we were the original group. They were getting bigger. And busy na sa academics. So I was pretty good at my academics then. Tapos I think I was doing tennis as well. And I have to pick.
Wow.
I have to pick one. And unfortunately, actually ako nagsisi ako na hindi ko tinuloy. I could have gone, and most of ng mga kasama ko dun sa first batch, they went on and became black belt. They competed nationally.
Okay.
Competed. Sa Coronadal, maraming, yung BJJ partner ko, si Catherine Yap, she's a black belter in Taekwondo. She competed nationally as well. A few people from my school, we have a very, very good national team. Well, not national, but a team that competed nationally. That time. So I felt I missed the boat there. I felt I missed my chance there na hindi sayang. So all the while I look back na ay sayang. Buti pa sila.
Attorney, yes, andito ako. Nawala yung aking earpiece.
Yeah, you are.
Hello, can you hear me?
So, yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
So,
Nadidinig mo ba ako, attorney? Sandali, I'll just double check yung ating sandali lang, no?
That was the long story.
Right, sandali lang.
That was the long story. So
I-ano lang natin tong ating yung aking I can hardly hear you. Sandali lang, ha. Ayan.
So,
ayan, okay, attorney. Okay. Oh, ayan, oo. Oh, yes, okay na. Pero yung kamukha sabi mo, can you hear me? So, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud.
Oh, okay. As you were saying, yes. Teka muna, babalik lang ako doon. Sabi mo, hindi ka nag-pursue sayang yung mga kasamahan mo. The guy that when you were young, you sparred with, eventually, the boy eventually became a black belter. Anong belt ka bago ka, when you stop? Ano yung, when you
Second
stop?
dan, na-promote lang ako. I was very low. Second dan, green belt lang ako. I was promoted twice, I think. Just barely nung last year ko. Just barely. And I don't know what happened. Siguro naging sobrang laki yung team. Wala na yung graduate yung mga friends ko. It didn't feel like the same. And I think when you get older, and I was very academic then, so bumalik ako sa pagka-nerd, and I felt both there. At sila, a lot of them ended up competing nationally, and a lot of them ended up getting the highest belt. So that was a miss. So all this time, I look back, with fondness dun sa martial arts days. I did all sorts of sports, and I've always wanted to come back for years. May nag-invite sa akin mag-karate sa St. Albans, and I never had the time. But I think minsan talaga you just have to do it.
Attorney, amazed kami sa'yo. Ako, amazed sa'yo. Ikaw, you nagmamarathon ka, hindi ko kaya yan, no? Siguro even yung 1K, hindi ko kayang takbuhin. How much more yung mga 5K, which is the lowest yata, di ba? You climb mountains, you hike, you nag-ano ka, jiu-jitsu, tapos nag-ano ka na taekwondo before, no? Nagte-tennis ka pa, although you stopped yata ng bata ka yata. It was a
Oh
choice
yeah,
between
yeah.
tennis
I
and
saw.
ano ka ba, sporty ka talaga? Yan ba, healing mo talaga? Parang gusto mo pawisan ka lagi, gano'n?
No.
Parang
No,
amazing
I'm
eh.
not.
Oh,
I'm
grabe,
not.
no?
I'm really not organically athletic. Yun ang pinaka-weird is hindi talaga ako athletic. I'm not an athletic person. If you know me, yung mga kababayan namin probably know me well enough by now. Nerd po ako. I'm a proper geek. I'm a proper nerd. I love reading. Talagang nerd ako na tao. But equally, I'm quite curious. Yun siguro yung enduring quality doon. I'm
But
quite curious about things.
you like reading
Uh,
books, you got into cooking,
yeah.
you teka
Yeah.
muna, going back do sa mga ano mo, you said 11 years ago ba yung may parang may nag-snap na rib mo?
Yes.
Wala kang
My fifth
naramdaman, wala kang feeling, wala kang anything.
meron. Meron ako
Kasi sabi
naramdaman.
mo 5 years na 5 years pa lang lingering yun, no? For 5 years, di ba? Bago inayos.
I was like, ay, ano lang yan.
Ah,
Parang masakit lang yan. Masakit. And then it got worse. And it got worse. And it got worse.
this was
At the
11 years
point
ago, ha?
now,
11 years ago.
this was 11 years ago.
Ah,
This was
okay. Hindi
11
hindi
years
11
ago.
years old ka, 11 years ago.
11 years ago. So that's
Oh, wow.
2010. Naalala ko 2010. So almost to the point, hindi ko na masuklay yung ditong side ko. Dito lang nakasuklay. Kasi hindi ko na.
Isang
Yes,
side
I
na.
know. I promise you. That was
So
when,
paano you have to train your other arm to do the parang do both ano ganun ganun wow.
dito lang. Eh, masakit yung dito ko.
Oh,
Hindi
yeah,
ko
yeah. So how was it? You had to do the parang ano, the
Yun
opposite ano.
talaga. Umabot na nun, pumunta ako sa pharmacy, medyo magulo yung buhok ko. Tapos doon ko na na-realize na lang, sabi ko, hindi pwede pa sa'yo. It was
Ah, Hindi, ganun talaga, no? So, eventually, gumaling yan because of the, yung parang, no? Oh, that's good.
I think ang masasabi ko lang sa mga kababayan natin, huwag niyo pa abutin na 5 taon because now I'm still feeling a bit of it pag hindi tama yung posture ko, pag
Oh,
pagod
really?
ako.
Okay. Oo,
Pag
okay.
hindi pa tama yung posture ko for a very long time, nararamdaman ko talaga. Talagang ngayon may dull pain doon, just now, and pag pagod ako, talagang
Hmm.
sumasakit siya. So, ang takeaway ko dun sa kanila, sa mga kababayan natin, pag may naramdaman kayo, mas mabuti at mas makaka-save kayo. Kasi I
Yes.
have to go now,
Oo.
every now and again. Mas makaka-save kayo kung papaayos nyo agad. Kasi pag hindi, mas tatagal pa yung pang-aano niyan, pag-aayos niyan. So, that's
So, tama,
the,
tama.
at least
Love
works out.
ourselves. Tama, tama yung attorney. Love
Yeah,
ourselves. Kung
no.
ano kagad, tingnan nyo, para at least, if you love your life and love the people around you, you wanna be, di ba, stay longer. Kaya nga, di ba, may mga parang
Gusto yung
mga, di ba?
masuklay na maayos yung mga buhok natin. Kailangan keep up
Oh,
properly.
all right. So I
Keep
could
up
just imagine,
properly.
attorney, no? Pero yun, walang nangyari. Basta lang nag-snap yun, ha? Wala kang basta may ginaano ka, ano ba?
No, I was doing dancers. I was doing a dancer's pose. So if you look
Okay.
up
Oh,
dancer's
wow.
pose sa yoga, it was a pretty. I think I didn't warm up properly. Tapos tinry
Ayun.
ko talaga. And hyper flexible. Isa pa ano ko is I'm very flexible. I'm naturally flexible. So parang ako, sige. Tapos hindi mo naman alam, hindi ko naman talaga alam ko ano yung ano. Tapos
Oo.
biglang nagkaano. Tapos ako, ay, ano yun? Tapos balik lang ako. Sabi ko, tapos masakit. Hinayaan ko lang. Sabi ko, ay, masakit lang yan. Akala ko dahil, uh, I don't know, akala ko muscle sprain. So for years and years,
Mm.
hinayaan ko. And then I had amazing, osteopath po yung pangalan. So,
Oo.
pinlik niya, I really felt it. I really heard it. Ito yan,
Pero hindi
narinig ko
masakit.
ng,
Hindi masakit. Walang sakit. Walang pain.
wala man sakit. Narinig mo lang, tapos parang,
Oh.
pero okay pa ako.
Alright.
and then nakapagsuklay na ako.
Okay. And eventually bumalik na. Ano ka na.
Bumalik,
Oh, that's good.
it's
That's
very good.
good.
And they're able to look it up. So, tinignan na properly ng NHS. So, it's like, you're fine. Wala na, hindi
Okay.
na.
That's
Okay
good.
na yung ano mo. So,
Okay,
that was
okay.
great.
Although meron parang occasional, parang once in a while pag ano, no? Pero okay na rin at least. Okay.
insane. So
At,
rehab, sort it out. Lahat ng mga NHS siguro natin, mga healthcare workers would say the same. Hopefully will say the same. I'm not a medical person, but just from my experience, alagaan natin yung sarili natin. Little things. Walang kailangang, ano, feeling chiropractor ako. Hindi natin kailangan mag-invest ng malaki. Just sit up straight,
ayun, ako
and
to, parang napapaano ako to,
work.
attorney. Parang napapa-sit up straight tuloy ako ngayon.
Yung mga international corner natin ngayon, sit up straight.
Oo.
Yes, sir.
De, tama yan, tama yan. Because if you, ano, di ba, nagkakaroon ng constriction, siguro may mga nerves o ano na ano dyan, no? So, ay, alam nyo, ako quickly lang siguro dahil alam ko ano, no? Ako naman, this week, itong bank holiday weekend, I started to learn how to cook. So, I've never ever
I don't
experienced
know
cooking.
naman.
Yes, yes. I did some, ang ginawa ko, well, cook at saka ano, I was able to do leche flan. Okay, I did it on
Oh,
my own.
wow.
So, alam mo,
Oh my God.
so, I viewed about mga 4, 5, mga 10 videos. Lahat pala ng tao na iba-iba style, eh, no? I mean, wala palang, now nag-open yung mind
Walang
ko na
ganyan.
wala palang pare-pareho, wala palang standard, you know. If you look for a dish na lulutuin, and you look at yung siguro 5 people, those 5 people would cook
Yeah,
it differently as well. Iba-ibang
differently,
style, no?
correct. Yeah.
So I did, ano ba, mga dalawa, tatlong ano yata ginawa ko eh. But hindi, first time ko nag-experience maghiwa ng sibuyas, yes, I thought it was a special skill ang pagluluto, no? So, parang ano ko, hindi ko pinapansin yan. But sabi ko finally, mustered the courage to ano lang,
Yeah, to do
maghiwa-hiwa lang
that
muna.
exhaustion. It's
And
good
then,
for starting something. Yeah.
eventually, okay
And
naman.
then,
And
ano
sapa,
nangyari? Yeah, okay naman.
okay naman. Siguro, I don't know, naluluto ko siguro masarap. Pero, what I did was, kasi, di ba, well, yung leche flan, you separate the eggs and the whites, no? So, what I did was,
Yes, that's right.
ginawa ko, frinay ko yung ano, fried in the sense, hindi ko lang fried, basta, naghiwa ako ng sibuyas, naghiwa ako ng, ng mga, ano ba yun, yung garlic, and then, ano ba tawag dito, tomatoes, and then yung spring onions. Tapos yun lang,
Oh,
inano ko
yes,
na,
that's right.
ginisa, ganun lang, simple lang, parang practice ko first. Sabi ko, I'd like to learn,
Yeah, yeah.
and eventually, somehow, I made it, no, maski paano nakapagluto ko. Yun lang naman sa akin. And eko, nainggit ako sa mahusay ka magluto, attorney. Di ba? Nakikita ko yung mga, there was a time on a weekly basis, meron kang
Yeah,
pinupost, di ba?
indeed.
Oo, namimiss ko na yun. Namimiss ko
Right.
na yun.
Yeah.
Oo. Babalik ba yun?
Correct, correct,
May
correct.
season 2 ba yun?
Babalik yan.
Oo,
May
di ba?
season 2
Abangan
yan.
na lang natin pag ano, yun, bigyan mo, may mga recipes ka ba? Kasi gusto ko talaga mag-aral talaga, to cook talaga, magluto, no? So dati
Cooking,
mystified ako. Ngayon parang,
like,
medyo,
it feels
parang,
like a production
ganun lang
number.
pala
It
yun.
feels like a production number. Yeah, yung cooking parang ano lang yan eh, parang production number. Kailangan alam mo lang yung sequence ng mga participant, ng mga bida kung kailan sila sasali dun sa stage. And that's all it is. It's about
Really?
making
Okay.
sure that it's the right time, panahon na nilang pumunta dun sa stage, yung kawali, dun sila sasali. Kasi kapag hindi, and it's all about it, making sure na, time mo na, ako sabay kayo. And then, dahan-dahan mong, you let them do their part in the right time, and then you add more, and then you add more, and that's it. It's really just about sequencing at the end of the day.
Okay. O saka na ako magtatanong mga additional sa attorney, yung mga sa ating cooking dahil talaga ano ngayon, parang inspired ako kung pwede ako magluto araw-araw, magluluto ako araw-araw eh. Yeah, ganun lang ano ko ngayon, parang eager ako, parang ano pa pwede hihiwain pa natin diyan, maghiwa pa tayo. So, yeah, it's nice, nakakatuwa naman. So, teka muna, attorney ha, yung mga greetings natin, baka alam mo itong mga to, mahal na mahal natin eh. Okay. Sige, ito una natin bumati sa atin. She's one of our regular viewers yata. Sino ba to? Si Marian. Marian, sabi niya,
Marian
ayan.
Galicia Paner.
Attorney,
Yes.
pakibasa. Sige, ikaw na magbasa niyan.
Sige po. Hello po, Kuya Sonny and Attorney Danna. Happy Tuesday po at sa lahat and stay safe and God bless us po. God bless
Ay,
Marian Galicia
Marian,
Paner.
good evening ha.
Facebook,
Uy,
Facebook.
batiin natin, belated happy birthday. Binati natin siya ng birthday, papuntang birthday niya. Siguro ilang linggo yata natin binati, no? Tapos,
Nag-message Nag-message ako kay Emily na. Nag-message ako sa Facebook.
Oy, happy
Naloko ko na
birthday
ba
uli.
ako?
Oo,
Happy
oo,
birthday,
mahal na mahal natin yan. Si Emily Rafael.
Oh,
Ayan. Ito
yeah, happy
si,
birthday.
yeah, si Mark Natal, no? Good evening. Ikaw nga, pakibasa, attorney. Sige, go na.
Good
Uy,
evening, Attorney Danna and Sir Sonny, watching from Fulham. Mark Natal, or yeah, Mark Latanmar is yung Facebook profile. But Mark, good evening, Mark. Good
good
evening
evening,
sa
Mark.
Fulham. Nag-snow ba
Mm.
dyan, Mark? Nag-snow ba sa inyo?
May,
Nag-snow
may,
ba?
snow.
Kahapon.
Kami, attorney, kahapon na, pero saglit lang. Nagulat ako, nasa Lidl kami dahil, ano ba binibili ko sa Lidl? Meron akong bibilin eh. Malapit na sa amin, may bago na Lidl ngayon, yung mga taga Putney area, Roehampton.
Oh, okay.
Meron na mga taga Fulham. Meron ng Lidl sa ano sa may bandang dito sa Putney High Street, no. So doon
Putney, yeah.
nagpupunta kami. Kaya okay naman.
Naman.
Nag-snow, biglang bumuhos. Siguro mga anong oras yun, hindi ko na matandaan yun. Alas 10 ba? Alas 11? Parang gano'n eh. Biglang pagtingin ko gano'n sa ano, uy, nag-snow . Sabi ko,
Malakas
parang
sa
winter.
amin. Malakas.
Sa inyo?
Parang
Oo.
winter. Alas 9, or 9, about 9:15, mga ganon. Because I was walking.
9:15 in the morning, attorney?
9:15 in the morning, yeah. 9:15 in the
Okay,
morning.
okay.
Alam mo,
Oo nga,
malalaki yung mga...
oo nga, napanood ko yung sa BBC, may mga kuha, may mga shots na talagang covered with snow yung ano.
Yeah,
Di ba?
sobrang talaga malakas sa amin
Oo.
dito eh. At
Galing.
malamig. Malamig talaga.
I was mentioning that last week, but sabi ko parang springtime, pero parang winter time tayo. And true, no? Biglang after a few days, nasabi ng mga newscasters na parang winter o wintry, ganun, no?
Yeah.
Malamig eh. Ang lamig, grabe. May negative, ano pa yata? Negative 1, no? Attorney ito, ayan, pakibasa. Oy, by the way, nasa ano tayo? Facebook and, ano ba tawag dito? Facebook and Facebook at saka YouTube, no? Oo. Sige.
Yeah, that's right. Good evening po, Sir Sonny and lovely Attorney Danna. Happy Tuesday po, everyone. God bless. Good evening, Richie. Bago Facebook profile ni Richie, eh.
Oy.
Ganda. Nakakamiss
ito.
mag-travel.
Ito yung ating abangan nyo mga kaibigan sa Yes Philippines, merong comic strip yan ngayon. Gawa ni Mr. Edgar Dua. Yes. Pakibasa, attorney.
Yes. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, Attorney DQ, the Attorney Ninja, and Sonny. Dito lang, patahimik lang. Baka sapakin ako ni Attorney Ninja. Ano kita ko si Edgar, tinuturuan niyang boxing yung mga anak niya eh.
Okay. Pero ikaw, yung dad mo, hindi ka binoboxing, hindi ka dad mo, no? When you were... wala na. So yung taekwondo was when it's a summer course and then parang summertime just to have something for the summer, kasama mo yung cousin mo.
Yeah.
That was all it was. No? Sumali lang kayo.
And then I went back the next year.
Okay.
Not hindi na ganun ka daily. Nung talagang time na yun, I think 3 months daily. And that's
okay.
Medyo full on talaga yun. Talagang both summer daily.
Parang pagka nakikita yung mga photos mo, attorney, parang takot na mag-mess with you yung mga no? You don't mess around with me, parang ganun, yung mga kung sino-sino, dahil, ayan. Yan ba, attorney, mahal ba yung ganyang suot na yan? Is it quite, pricey din ba yan?
It's not too bad. Madami pong on sale ngayon. Tatami, maraming sale po ngayon. It's not too bad.
At tatami, pangalan yan, tatami?
Yung madaming tatami. Yan is tatami. May vino, but tatami is madami silang sale and madami silang options as well, and posting nila is quite good, very decent within a few days. Kasi minsan yung pag ganyan na hindi masyadong madami, like may konti lang yung mga brand, minsan nandun pa sa Ireland or elsewhere in Europe yung base nila, tapos 7 to 10 days pa bago dumating. But this one's not bad.
Sexy ka rito, attorney. Hindi ba dapat maluwag yan? Parang lawlaw? O okay lang ba yan?
Ay, hindi. No, that's the best. Pag Mr. Laragan, sa BJJ, pwedeng gamitin yung kimono, yung gi mo, para hatakin ang kalaban mo.
Sa mga judo, malalaki, maluwag yan. Okay. Okay, that's good. Oh, that's
They're
something
gonna just say,
we know, no? Ngayon, at least nalaman
yeah.
natin. Okay.
So gagamitin mo.
All right. Ito, bago tong, well, a
Oh,
new
sige
convert
pa.
of the program, no? Si Mecca Mika,
Yeah.
pakibasa attorney.
Mecca, good evening po, Sir Sonny and Attorney Danna, watching from Kidlington. That's Oxfordshire, no? Mecca,
Sa,
Oxfordshire ba yan?
sana Kidlington? Sana
Yeah.
Kidlington ba? Nasa Birmingham?
Oh,
Tapos,
Birmingham.
may snow ba kayo dyan? Kasi,
Oh,
nag-snow. O
oh,
napakalamig. Kasi nga, napakalamig, no? Ako medyo giniginaw, mas kinasa ano ako, no?
ako din
Oo,
eh. Malamig
good
din
evening.
naman. Hindi ko to.
Ayan,
Yeah,
Mickey
saan ba
Micah.
yan?
Kidlington daw siya. So,
Ayan.
ito si Richie Borse again.
Yeah,
Tama, Richie Borse. Good evening po, Sir Sunny. Yeah, lovely. Ikaw, merong lovely.
love
Ako,
it.
wala, no? Kita mo, no? Ikaw, good evening po, Sir. Lovely.
Love
Happy
it.
Tuesday, everyone. Yan, no? Yeah, good evening, good evening. Attorney, ito, meron tayo from YouTube naman. Si Pakibasa.
Hi, to Juliet Marcelino. Good evening, Sonny and Attorney Donna. Happy Tuesday to all and stay safe po. Good evening, Juliet. Happy Tuesday to you.
Happy
Happy
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Juliet, ha? Ingat lang kayo. Kailangan meron kayong cover na para hindi kayo ginawin.
Yes.
Oy, yung heater nyo. Buksan na lang ninyo. Yes. Attorney,
Ito na
yes.
lang. Rudy, libro ko sa atin, librojo dito sa UK.
Yo,
Hi,
libro
Sir
dyo siya.
Sonny,
Yes.
ganda, and all kababayan. Happy Tuesday from Belfast. Happy Tuesday,
Yes, good
Rudy,
evening.
Mia, the rest of the family. Happy
Yes,
Tuesday.
yes. Happy
At
Tuesday,
sa inyo
Rudy,
ba,
ha? And Mia.
Rudy? Sa inyo ba nag-snow din? Nag-snow din ba sa inyo? Or mainit ba dyan? Ano ba?
Medyo may gulo doon
Malamig
yata
ba?
sa Northern Ireland, di ba? May konting gulo doon. Ano man lugar na medyo magulo doon?
Stay safe,
May, ingat-ingat lang, no? Ah,
Stay safe, yeah.
ayan, si Henry Cavill daw, sabi ni, yung binabanggit mo yung
Yes!
jiu-jitsu,
Yes,
no?
that's right.
Ayan,
Yeah,
oo.
Henry Cavill. Yeah, Henry
Ay, yeah.
Cavill is also, yeah.
Ito,
That's
well,
right.
hindi nagpapatalong wife, no? Ito.
Happy snowy Tuesday, Kuya Sani, Attorney Donna, and everyone watching tonight's show. Happy Tuesday, Irene.
Happy Tuesday, Irene, ha?
Snowy Tuesday.
Snowy
Yeah,
Tuesday
happy
daw. May snow pa ba
Si
kayo dyan?
Irene, Mr. Laragan. Si Irene, masarap po. Yung nakikita ko mga
Yes.
luto niya.
Yes.
Kung gusto mo
So,
magpaturo, ayan, maraming mga minsan may watch party din yan sa, nakita ko yung laing, last week. Talagang,
kanino? Laing nila Irene?
Irene, laing, nagluto si
Okay.
Irene
Hindi
ng
kasi may
laing.
laing din kami. Nagluto yata si Sol ng laing eh. Ano ba sabi ko? May gusto ako matutunan eh. Pero gusto ko kasi matutunan yung some Filipino food, no? Na lutuin.
Yeah.
Pero
Ano
pinupush niya ako.
favorite niyo?
Alam mo, hindi ka maniniwala. Hindi ko alam ang pangalan ng mga pagkain. Honestly. Honestly, kumakain lang ako. Hanggang
Kumakain ka lang.
sa, pero ba, at my age, lang ngayon lang ako nagsimula mag-aral magluto. Talagang ako
Okay, at
nag-aral.
least you started. Better late than never.
Oh, sabagay. Sabagay. Attorney, tama ka. Sabagay, tama ka. Oh, ito, teka muna. Si ano to? Taga YouTube. Taga YouTube. Ito,
Bago
Joanne.
YouTube.
Nasa YouTube siya,
Joanne.
yes.
Seraon. Happy Tuesday po, Attorney and Sir Sunny. Stay safe and God bless.
Ayun.
Joanne, tagasan ka.
Joanne, tagasan ka. Joanne, ano yan? Seraon, si Joanne Seraon. Si Darmin, umabate.
Hello. Hello
Ayan,
po.
binabati niya si Irene Duway. Hello, sis.
Hello, sis. Hello.
Oh.
Nag-ano din eh. Basta may food sa dulo. Talaga, totoo yan. Basta may food. Ako po kaya ko marathon bago basta may food sa dulo. Darwin, sa marathon, daming food. Every 4 kilometers may food station. Nag-snow din natin sa Belgium po. Brussels.
Nag-snow ba?
Nag-snow din po.
Alright.
So, photo.
Alright, okay. Uy, si Edgar, attorney, ang sabi niya? Attorney Deacon, Di ko na...
Di ka natalo. Malamang. Masakit ang Wonder Woman. Grabe ka naman, Ed.
Hindi kasi nga, yun ang iisipin nila, attorney, kasi you go into, may jiu-jitsu, meron kang, ano pa tawag dito, taekwondo, tapos nag-tennis ka saglit siguro. Pero hindi ko alam kung natuloy yung tennis mo. Pero you run, nagma-marathon
I did
ka.
actually for longer. I did tennis, I think for a few years every summer and every weekend. Okay lang. Okay lang. It was okay. Hindi yung, but I enjoyed yung taekwondo more, I'll be honest. And then I enjoyed the
Ah,
running and yung bundok. Na mas
parang idol
nakakatuwa yung bundok.
idol ka na niya.
Yeah.
Sabi niya, idol low die. Sabi niya, Wonder Woman ang peg low die. O yan. Tapos, ayan na si
Ayan,
Erin Duway
sports
at
fighter.
Darmin ayan, ballerino, sports fighter nila. Ano yan?
Yung budol na
Budol
budol.
fighter.
Budol
Ayan,
fight.
okay.
Budol
Alright.
fight.
Ayan.
Headcar
Uy,
talaga.
ayan.
Ganda
Uy.
ng t-shirt. Maganda nga. Ganda ng t-shirt mo. Legendary Sonny.
Uy.
Maganda.
Thank
Hindi
you,
na
talaga. Oo, talaga. Oo,
like
yeah.
it.
So,
Yeah. It
oo
looks
nga, oo.
warm as well. Looks
Ha?
warm.
Ayun nga, kaya nga
Warm.
ako, normally makikita mo ko, attorney, naka-polo lang eh. Pero ngayong gabing to, dahil
Polo.
giniginawa ko, sabi ko, kailangan magsuot ako ng medyo warmy ng konti, no? Para naman
Talaga.
ma-neutralize natin ng ano. Ayan, sino ba yan, attorney?
Pareho kayo ni Irene. Late na nag-aral magluto kung kailan naging 50s lol. Si Irene parati na nagpo-post. At least, di ba? Si
Oh, good.
Irene.
Good, Irene, ha? Ako naman, parang, okay lang, parang sabi sa akin ni Sol daw, parang daw sa kanya therapeutic yun eh. So, napakinggan ko, masarap pakinggan therapeutic eh. O, di, yung alam mo na, di ba, pinag-aaralan mo. Bumili ako ng ano, ha, pampatalas ng kutsilyo.
Ay, proper chef ka na. May
Oo,
pampatalas ka na.
gusto ko meron pang ano, sabi ko nga, bilan ako ng sombrero para at least makumpleto ba, di
Bibili
ba?
ako, ako bibili ng
Ha?
sombrero sa'yo. Ako
Sobra.
bibili ng sombrero sa'yo.
Oo,
Bibili
ay,
ako
ganun
ka
ba?
ng uniform. Bibili kita ng uniform tsaka sombrero. Tapos nakalagay dyan, legendary Laragan.
Ba? Sus, Mariosep naman. And then gusto ko lang ma-feel ba, di ba? Parang, di ba, emote ka, di ba? Feel mo attorney, di ba? Di ba? Para, tapos
Sabay
yan,
tayo suot natin. Sabay tayo suot natin.
oh sige, oh, yeah, why not, why not? Well, sabi nga nila, life is short. Sabi nga, naalala ko si Lina siya, do anything na ano lang, di ba? Yung mga mental health natin, no? So, tayo, alam nyo, nakakapagod na talaga to. Hindi tayo makapag-socialize. We couldn't go back to the normal life that we used to have, di ba?
Yeah.
Sa mga pubs, sa mga restaurants, tabi-tabi tayo. Ngayon, hindi na pwede eh. By stages yan,
That's
and
right.
it's taking us a long time. So, I guess, yun nga, tama yun. Kung talagang panggamot ng mental health natin yung sabay tayo mag-apron ba tayo, Torley? Parang gano'n. Apron, tsaka...
Yung ano talaga, yung chef's white. Yung nakikita mo sa yung
Ay,
restaurant, yung
ganon.
talagang uniform. Papadala sa
Tapos
kita.
fried egg
Meron ako,
lang ang gagawin ko.
Tapos fried egg lang.
Ba- Sobra sa forma. Baka sabihin lang, grabe naman itong pomorma. Puro lang forma. Pero, di ba? Ano ba
Life
alam
is
mong...
short, Mr. Ronaldo.
Sige, sa bagay,
Life
sa
is
bagay.
short.
Tama ka. Yan ang,
Lagyan
yan
mo
ang
na
ating... Yan ang motto natin.
lagyan mo ng garnish para para
Alam mo,
para
iniisip ko, yung niluto ko tonight, I cooked, yung kasi natira sa akin egg whites. So, ginawa ko, nilagyan ko ng, yun nga, yung sibuyas. Tapos nung inihiwa ko, kala ko confident na ako. Paglagay ko sa pan, hindi pa pala yung up to the end ba? Yung, di ba, pagka chinap mong gano'n, kailangan up to the end, yung pala dikit-dikit sa pasil sa ilalim. So, sabi ko, paano ngayon to? Di, kumuha ako ng sandok, ginaganon ko sila para maghiwa-hiwalay eh. Talagang amateur talaga, walang alam eh.
adlib lang.
Oo, kaya sabi
Adlib
ko,
lang.
ganun lang ba yan? Oo, so yun, ginawa ko lang yan. Tapos, yun nga, yung garlic. Tapos naisip ko, garlic ba? Tsaka, di ba, sibuyas, pareho lang. Yung spring onions, di ba parehong garlic yun?
Magkaiba lang yung flavor profile
Iba pa
nila.
flavor. Oo.
Magkaiba yung
I-research ko ba yung flavor kung anong binibigay na. Bisa pag nanonood ako
Ano
ng
yung
show,
binibigay? Magkaiba eh.
this is giving this succulent taste, mga ganun-ganun pa mga description ng mga ano, di ba?
Of the fried egg.
Ah. Right.
Sorry.
Teo. Okay, ate, sabi niya, nako, Irene, kawawa naman tayo. Inapi tayo ni Edgar. Sabi nila, medyo may edad na tayo natuto, no? Hindi, totoo to. This is to all my friends, everybody na mga kilala ko, first time ko talaga. Because I was growing up with my lola, spoiled ako where, yun nga disadvantage now, I advise yung mga kabataan, di ba, mga matatanda, yung mga magulang talagang turuan nyo yung mga anak ninyo. Magluto, maging independent, di ba? Kasi ako, I was spoiled because of my lola. I was growing up kasi laking lola ko. So, hindi ko kasama mother ko, father ko. So, ayan. And my father died when I was 10, 11 yata. So, anyway. Okay. Sino to? Si Mika, taga
Oxford, yeah.
Oxford.
Oxford,
Oy,
yeah.
Oo. Na-miss natin sila
Or
mahaba.
yeah,
4 na days yung ano ha, yung bank holiday weekend natin, Easter holiday weekend ha. Oy,
exactly,
happy Tuesday to
exactly.
all. Si Virginia Smith, attorney, yan,
Hi,
mabati sa atin.
Virginia. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday.
Sumasagot sila, no? Si Joanne Seraon, dito po ako sa
East
East
London.
London po. Ayun.
East
Oh,
London.
si
Brick Lane,
Darmin
Shoreditch.
Balarinon. Sabi niya, maybe you have a
Ah,
cooking show one time Kuya Sunny with beautiful attorney Danna. Oh, yung easy recipe
easy
lang.
recipe.
Ayun.
That's
Pero ito
an
napansin
idea. We
ko,
can have a cooking show. Yeah.
ito lang na-realize ko, attorney, dahil nga I started watching videos, there would, for a certain dish, there would be, kunyari kung apat ang pinanood mo video, apat na different versions yan.
Correct. Yeah.
Teka muna, ano ba itatanong ko? Nawala tuloy ang aking tatanong. Ah, ayun, paano mo malalaman kung, kasi minsan niluto nila eh. It's not guaranteed na masarap yung niluto nila, no? O guaranteed.
Ano naman eh, it's subjective. Taste is subjective, Mr. Laragan, di ba? So,
Oo.
for me, ito para lang sa akin, at the end of the day, yung ginagawa mong activity, para sa'yo at para sa loved ones mo. So, you have to enjoy it. So, you always have to, yung test, yung final test, ikaw ba nag-enjoy? Ikaw ba nasarapan? Ikaw ba at yung loved ones mo ay nasarapan? If hindi, so you do it again, and yun
Oo.
nga sabi ko, adlib lang ng adlib hanggang masarapan ka, hanggang makuha mo na yung recipe. It's really just about repetition. You have tried and tested recipes. Try mo na, ay, hindi nag-work yan. Try mo na, yan, nag-work. So you keep doing that. And it will become a reflex. Minsan, sa amoy pa lang, alam mo na masusunog na, or sa
Mm.
pagtingin mo, alam ko na na yan, or konti pa. So, as you, just like anything in life,
It comes in time. It comes in time ba? You do it. Siguro ngayon parang kumbaga sa white belter pa lang ako ngayon siguro. Susunod magiging 'di ba mga green, yellow, kung ano-ano na 'yan, no? Ayan,
yeah,
oh.
yeah. Just by practice, just by finding out kung anong flavor yung gusto mo. So, sabi mo, pag nakita mo sa recipe, ay, ayaw ko niyan. Ayaw ko yan, papalitan ka. And you'd get to that point na ikaw na yung nag-change ng recipe a little bit.
Tanong ko, no? Tanong ko lang. Kasi, let's say, gaya na sinasabi ko, may isang recipe, minsan apat na klase ng luto, apat na klase ng style, di ba? Ang mangyayari ba niyan you will just look at them, all of them, and eventually, parang titignan mo kung sino yung mas tama na eventually i-adapt mo? Na yun ang
Correct, yeah.
magiging Danna's, ano na yan, yun ay Danna's style of cooking that particular dish. Wala ka na, or gagayahin mo isang let's say there are 4 or 5 versions. Would you copy a particular one, or eventually parang didistill mo lang doon, no? Doon sa 5 na yon, bahala ka na gagawa ng sarili mo doon sa particular dish na yon, or style, or I
Yeah,
don't know kung
most of
paano.
the time. Yeah,
Most
most
of
of
the
the
time.
time. That's it. Depende makikita mo, ay, gusto kong 2 or 3 recipes. Titingnan mo, for some reason, sometimes, I go for medyo user-friendly, pero nakita ko, ay, okay, gusto ko yung style niya. Most of the time, I watch YouTube videos kasi makikita mo talaga kung paano nila ginagawa. Hintay mo, ay, pag gano'n na yung kulay, pwede ko nang gawin. And you just get a feeling, intuitive feeling na, ay, gusto ko yung na makapal yung, sometimes sauce, I like it because the sauce is better, the sauce looks good, pero hindi ko gusto yung ganitong step niya. So, kuha ka ng step from another recipe. So, it's mix and match. You just follow what you think would work for you. So, at first
Ayun.
siguro, you follow
Mm.
one recipe, and then
Mm.
pag may practice mo na, you get to mix and match. Sabi mo, ay, kunin ko yung kabila dito. And alam mo na up to a certain point, pwede ka na mag-change ng technique. Mo, ay, napakuluan ko na. Ngayon, pwede ko nang ibahin yung technique ko na when, if-fry ko. Yung adobo, like for adobo, yung iba, ewan ko sa iba, but ako, pina-fry ko at the end, yung adobo ko. So, 2 or
Teka,
3 times.
teka muna, naluto mo na, lalabas mo, tapos ipiprito mo?
Ilalabas ko, fry ko yung adobo so that it has a glazing. So, at that point, yung recipe na yun, iba yun eh. Ibang mga recipe yon. So, maybe from the point na pinapakuluan ko yung adobo, I follow a certain recipe. Up to that point, pwede na ako mag-stop doon. But
Mhm.
nung tinake ko sa second level na, ay gusto ko i-fry yung adobo. that's borrowed from another recipe. So, minix and match mo yung dalawa. But you know from experience, pwede ka nang kumuha ng ibang technique kasi tapos na yung stage na yun. Pwede ka nang kumuha ng ibang technique for that second stage.
Ayun,
So that's how it
sige,
is.
wow.
Parang bumubuo ka lang ng production. Kumbaga tapos na yung act 1, pwede mo na gawin yung act 2. Yung act 2, kukunin mo dun sa kabilang director.
Para akong lalong na-inspire sa'yo, attorney, ah. No? Para akong... Iba, magpo-post ako, kaya lang... Magpo-post ako, kaya lang huwag niyo pagtawanan, ha? Magpo-post ako, kunyari, on a weekend.
Kukunin ka namin yung puti.
Magkano ba? Kailangan ba yung... sige, sige.
Ako na mapadala kita nun. Tapos may sombrero ka, legendary Laragan.
Talaga? Okay. Sige, sige. Hindi, pero gusto ko lang. I really would love to learn it. Sige. Let's do that. And eventually, who knows, di ba? Parang si Richard Gomez nga, nagluluto na rin eh. Di ba? Si Richard Gomez, sino ba ba? Meron ako nakita, si Judy Ann Santos yata. Si...
Mr. Laragan, si Judy Ann went to, cooking.
Right.
Properly went to cooking school, I think. Yeah. You know,
wow. Hindi naman kailangan, no? Hindi naman kailangan as long as, di ba? As long as makain mo lang yung niluto mo, di ba? Try lang na try. So, okay. At saka, by learning how to cook, you know now, you can try to prepare food na healthy na. Minsan, parang, pagka nung araw, when I was growing up, parang kinakain mo lang dahil prepare. Wala kang alam, hindi ka nagluluto eh. So, kakainin mo lang. But now, you know na, parang medyo choosy ka na ng konti. Alam mo na. And siguro, paglabas mo, nagpupunta ka sa restaurant, kumakain ka, medyo critical, not critical in a bad way, pero, ito, ganito pagkagawa niya, ganito, ito husay ng presentation, maganda. Siguro, I don't know, early days pa lang eh. Early days pa lang.
You see, the more you cook, how I learned is I watch cooking shows. I watch cooking shows. I have a huge, for a very long time. I love cooking shows. And then, pag pupunta ka na sa restaurant, you remember ito pala. Hindi naman critical, it's more of a sense of wonder. Ito pala to. I get to taste it kasi noon, napapanood mo lang. Ito pala yung technique nito. Ito pala yung sinasabi nila na ganito. So, that's the exciting bit.
At least meron na tayong one conversation natin in the future, sharing of yung mga tips and how you cook a certain thing.
Yes.
Siguro okay, gusto ko pag-usapan sana yung dinuguan para next time na yun, no? Hindi, kasi meron kasi ako nakita Kapampangan na luto na walang dugo, parang buo yata, na parang plain malinis, hindi yung dark na alam mo. Oo, may nakita ako. So I would like to learn how to make that, no? Yung walang blood talaga, hindi yung maitim. Yung talagang parang kala mo plain na maputi. I mean, masabaw, maputi, ganyan. Ang dinuguan.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Have you heard of that? Wala, hindi yung maitim, kundi ito yung parang, ang ginawa yata noon, pagluto niya, siguro ginawa niya parang style tokwa ba, yung cube yung mga dinuguan. Doon yun, kaya tinawag nila dinuguan.
Parang Betamax, alam niyo ba?
Parang siguro parang gano'n, parang pinutol-putol lang na yun ang tinawag niyang dinuguan, no? Okay. Ayan, okay. We're gonna have a short break, mga kaibigan. Sorry ha. May topic ho tayo ngayon. Ito very controversial to dahil, ano ba to, attorney? Ano ang consequences kapag hindi mo sinabi kung yung na meron ka palang property doon, pera doon, meron kang mga jewelries doon, kung ano-ano ka, no? Or tinago mo, no? Ito yung sa mga financial proceedings pag nagdi-divorce. Tama ba, attorney?
Correct.
Okay. Sige. Huwag ho kayo alis, saglit lang ho. At kami ho ay magbabalik, magpapatalas-tas lang ho muna kami. At napahaba ho yung kwentuhan natin. Dalambis natin si attorney. At saka napakahaba ho din ng bank holiday weekend. Isa lang pala babanggitin ko, attorney. Maswerte ka, at least meron ka na schedule doon sa may second dose mo, di ba? Hindi pa, pero it hasn't happened yet, no? Kailan sa'yo? June?
June 5 po.
I've been chasing my appointment, hindi pa rin nabibigay, kaya naiingit ako sa inyo, pati ni Attorney Lira, meron na rin yata siyang schedule for the second dose niya, no? Kaya, ayan. Okay, we're gonna have a short break. Huwag ko kayo alis at kami ho ni Attorney Danna ay magbabalik at pag-uusapan natin yung ano ang consequences kung sakaling itinago mo. Dahil syempre ayaw mong maihasama sa hatian yon, no? Doon sa inyong paghihiwalay, sa divorce. Ano ang consequences? Yan ho pag-uusapan pagbalik ho natin.
May problema ka ba sa landlord mo? Baka iiwi ka na ni kuya. May problema sa mga kapitbahay, sa trabaho. O kaya naman kay mister o kay misis. Away tungkol sa mana, mga may utang, mga aksidente, daing o laban sa ospital or sa NHS. Harassment? O baka naman may stalker ka na gusto mong ireklamo. Punta na sa DV Solicitors para matulungan ka pagdating sa mga litigations at iba pang mga legal concerns. DV Solicitors at 2nd floor, Howard House, St. John Street, Bedford, MK42 0DJ. Tumawag sa 01234-350-244 or 01234-225-188 o kaya naman mag-email sa d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. Visit our website at www.dvsolicitors.com.
During these trying times, we salute the frontliners who are tirelessly caring for all of us against the COVID-19. To all the courageous nurses, doctors, carers, and paramedics at the NHS, words are not enough to thank you. We at Highlight Express International are here to support you back with a full semester 10% discount when you send your balikbayan boxes to your family in the Philippines. Dahil ang Highlight Express International ay para sa pamilya.
%100% all natural, tasty, healthy, versatile, 4 unique flavors. Taste a real sauce. Galettos.
Mula doon hanggang ngayon, serbisyong mapagkakatiwalaan, serbisyong maaasahan pagdating sa inyong mga padalang balikbayan boxes. Dito ka na sa Forex Cargo. Sa presyong kayang-kaya ng bulsa, sigurado ka pa sa inyong padala. Forex Cargo. Dahil kailangan makarating. Call 0208-813-7064. O ano pang inaantay niyo mga kabayan? Tayo na sa Forex Cargo.
Okay, tuloy-tuloy ho tayo sa ating program. Happy Tuesday ho ngayon. Ako po si Sonny Laragan. Siyempre, kasama natin yung pinakamamahal nating abogada, no? Yung ating eksperto ho rito sa Legal Advice Corner. Walang iba kundi ang managing director ho or managing partner. Ayan, director tuloy. Parang kumpanya, no? Managing partner ho ng Deo Volente Solicitors. Walang iba kundi si Attorney Danna Quinto. Attorney, good evening once again.
Good evening, Mr. Laragan. Welcome back to hindi lang siya legal advice corner, but also hobby advice corner, cooking advice corner then. So yes, we're back.
At iba pa yan. Ito, mabilis lang siguro, pasok ko lang yung mga messages bago we go into that, yung very controversial na topic natin for tonight, no? Na, syempre, ang pag-ibig, humihinto, nahihinto rin yan. No? Ibig sabihin, di ba? May for some reason, naghihiwalay ang mga magsing irog, and then siyempre hatian ang pinag-uusapan, mga financial ano, no. Ayan, pag-uusapan natin. Saglit lang, pasadahan lang natin some of the mga messages. Ito si Edgar. Sabi ni Edgar, paglalanghap mo ang niluluto mo, o na yun. Parang oo na yun, sabi niya. Okay, oo na yun. So I don't know if you agree with that, attorney, no? Oo na yun.
Yes, actually, opo.
Okay.
Opo. I agree with that. I agree with Edgar's, talagang, it becomes very instinctive, and dun mas nagiging, kumbaga, enjoyable. Kasi na-heighten yung senses mo, mas nilaragan. You become a bit more attuned. Mas mindful ka na, inamoy ko.
Wala pa siguro ako sa stage na yun. Hindi ko pa alam siguro kung ano yung amoy, no? Basta sa akin, okay pa lang muna. Edgar Duay, nice idea. Sister Dime, sabi niya, Sister Darmin Ballarinon, cooking show. Pag Sabado kasalo, ayan. Okay, well, ayan. Ito sabi ni Darmin, some people I know who are really good at cooking, they don't taste. No, inaamoy lang nila. Ako alam kong nagluto pag amoy sunog na. Ako alam ko nang luto na kapag amoy sunog na. Oh yeah, but how do you know, no? Sa bagay malalaman mo, no, through experience and practice siguro, malalaman mo kung sunog na. Okay. Si Edgar Duay, ako inaamoy ko lang prinsesa kasi asawa ko, kaya ako lagi yung tagaluto, but now I'm the king. Oh yeah, okay. Alright, pinaka-paborito ko ang dinuguan. Ayan kay Edgar. Alright, so ayan, sige. Yeah, dinuguan din. Yung pinag-uusapan natin na kanina. Alright, mga kaibigan, ito na ho. So, ito na yung pag-uusapan natin. Ito, ano ang consequences? Yan ang gusto ko rin malaman, attorney. I'd like to really know ano ba ang consequences kapag you fail to disclose, no? Hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng hindi ko alam, no? Hindi pwede, no? Or sadyain mo, or di ba hindi pa pwede, no? Hindi pa pwede, no? Ito. Sige, attorney, sige, take it away.
Yep. So we talked about yung Form E a few episodes ago. We talked about yung ano ba yung kailangan mong ibigay na impormasyon in terms of financial proceedings, laying your cards on the table, ibibigay mo yung complete picture ng financial status mo, financial status ng we call it conjugal properties sa Pilipinas, or matrimonial properties, or joint properties nyo, and sole properties mo. And ilalagay mo siya dun sa, tinignan natin yung Form E, the 27 pages na form kung saan you'd have to fill it up complete with asset, liabilities, income, living expenses, so would include property, company property, etc. So, a full picture kung ano ba ano ang ari-arian mo, utang mo, anong liabilities mo, and so on and forth. Yung obligation doon is to give full, frank, and clear disclosure. So the court expects you to know your financial status, kung ano yung financial position mo. At kung hindi mo alam, you have to get that information. Sabi mo, pension, di ko naman po alam, di naman namin, wala naman yan sa online banking mo. The court will say, go find out. Go find out, go ask yung kumpanya mo so that they could get that information or you could get that information directly sa pension provider mo. So that's the idea of it. If you don't have the information handy, you go get it. When you do E, after yung Form E, you would exchange that. We talked about this. We call it the exchange of forms. Kakaliwa ng kabilang part. And you would have to also look at the other side disclosure. So titingnan mo, ito pala yung binigay na disclosure ng kabila ng EXO. And titingnan ng lawyers, so us lawyers will look at it, and we will raise questions. O bakit? Alam ko, property ka sa Pilipinas, ba't di mo nilagay dyan? Alam ko, may kumpanya ka sa America, may kumpanya ka sa Europe, bakit hindi mo nilagay yan? May property ka sa Spain, for example. Ba't hindi nakalagay dyan? So we raise questions. We keep asking. And kung talagang matigas ang ulo at ayaw talaga, either binlang ko lang, di sinagot, at talagang dinenay or whatever, although it's very clear, may ebidensya ka na yung kabilang partido ay may ganitong property as evidence ng lifestyle niya. Oh, di ba pumupunta ka doon? Or you always told me na may ganitong property ka. We've been there. I saw that property. Obviously, hindi lang yan yung income mo na nilagay mo. You're paying for this lifestyle. It's clear na may income coming from somewhere. So when that happens, obviously nakakainis kasi balik kayo ng balik sa korte. The court would at first instance give warnings. Give warnings. O baka ano lang, baka hindi, hindi pa talaga na-realize yung full obligation of what they mean by frank, clear, and full disclosure. But up to a point, mapupuno ng korte. Because one of the questions that are normally asked me, naku, itatago niya lang yun eh. Itatago lang yung property o yung the other option is, pwede ko bang hindi sabihin yung property ko dito? The direct answer is no. Kailangan mong i-disclose dahil may consequences. May consequences. Kung talagang napatunayan na may tinatago ka, there are a number of consequences that can happen to you during the proceedings. One of the consequences is what we call the principle of adverse interest. Sa madaling salita, yung korte ang gagawa sila mag-establish na pag nalaman nila, ay nagtatago ka, alam namin na may pera ka, they would have a adverse or negative inference against sa'yo. So sabihin nila, look, ayaw din, so we're gonna find out on our own, we're gonna try to determine that na meron kang property na ganito, and we're gonna put a value to it. Kung ayaw mo lagyan ng value, kami, ang korte ang maglalagay ng value. So even if hindi mo dinisclose, talagang pinagmatigasan mo. And that happened to a case. The case is called Young and Young. At tinago ng husband ang 45 million pounds na asset. At nagkaroon ng, the court determined na talagang tinago yung asset na to. And klaro na may 45 million na asset dahil on how they live. It's very clear that they have access to the side, the husband or the other side had access. The husband was the one who was hiding the asset. The husband had access or have access to 45 million pounds. So the court said, no, we're going to find out, we're going to determine na tinago mo. At dahil tinago mo, at hindi mo binigay ang informasyon, kami ang maglalagay ng value sa tinago mong pera based on what they, obviously, on the other evidence that they have. So that's not a very good position for you. Kasi sasabihin ng court, doesn't matter. Ayaw mo ibigay, kami ang maglalagay ng mag-determine ng figure kung ayaw mong mag-cooperate. So that's adverse inference. Now, also, dun sa, we talked about this, contempt of court. So talagang kung pag pinatigasan mo din, because may nakalagay dyan, statement of truth, so signan mo yan. So sabihin mo, papromise mo sa court what you said there are true. If found later on that you were dishonest, and kahit ilang warning na binigay sa'yo, hindi mo pa rin sinunod ang warning ng korte, they could potentially put you in prison. Katulad kay Mr. Young dun sa case ng Young and Young, which is a 2013 case, not a long time ago in terms of the British president that's about 8 years old. It's not a long time ago. So pwede ka talagang ikulong. They were imprisoned for, I think, 6 months. At bawal siyang umalis sa jurisdiction. So may ganong heavy restrictions sa kanya. Dahil tinago niya yung asset, talagang nilagay siya sa prison. So that's very serious consequence. Is it gonna be worth it? At hindi ka naman makakatapas kasi ilalagay din naman ng korte. As I've said from the first incident, ayaw mo sabihin kami maglalagay ng figure dyan. So that's one thing. We brushed upon this before. Pwede din nilang ma-set aside kung nagawa na nila yung order, nagbigay na ng order yung court, but then it turned out later on na mali palang impormasyon yung binigay mo. I think Edgar asked about the question, asked about this question later. Iba yung impormasyon na nilagay. But later on, lumabas yung ebidensya na meron palang mas malaking asset na katago sa Swiss bank. The court can effectively go back to the order nila, sabihin na, nope, we're gonna set that aside, gagawa kami ng bagong order. So hindi ka pa rin makakatakas. If you can't say, tapos na yung proceedings, so ilalabas ko na tong asset na tinago ko from the court. So that's also not a way to circumvent na maisahan mo yung rule na to. Another case which actually happened in one of my cases when I was younger, kasama ko yung previous na boss ko na my training principal then, and it's one of those cases na may hindi na disclose yung isang partido, and it was enough for the court to say, kasi normally at the end of the trial, kung pareho lang naman kayo nag-argue and you acted reasonably, talagang pareho kayong, you had a good go at settlement, talagang you were stuck on an interpretation of the law, normally each party will bear their own cost. But in some instances na matigas ang ulo ng isang partido, may litigation misconduct na nangyari. Kumbaga, tinry maging tuso, tinago yung ebidensya, o pinagsabihan yung isang party, yung isang expert, huwag mo produce yung disclosure na yan, tago mo yung tatlong ebidensya na to. So, kung may mga ganon, or kung siya mismo ang nagtago, it is possible na sasabihin ng court, actually, ito yung award, but ikaw, Mr. Boggs or Miss Boggs, parang John Doe and Jane Doe sa law, that's what we normally say, para that. Then the court would say, no, you pay the cost of the other side up to, sometimes magbibigay ng particular figure yung court. So they would say, I'll pay 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 of their cost. So it could potentially get to that level. Kung nag-away-away sila. And the other side, yung pinagtaguan ng informasyon, sila na, we have to do all of this work kasi habol kami ng habol sa'yo. Habol kami ng habol. At the end, pinakita mo, but kailangan pa namin gawin itong lahat na application, all this work, just because you put all this obstacles nila. Lahat ng smoke screen, hindi makita yung full picture. So the court may say, dahil dyan, kailangan mong bayaran yung cost ng kabila. So may ganyan na namang consequences. And this is the third one. This is actually, it's one of those interesting one na nag-tie up dun sa normal na question, anong gagawin mo kung guilty, alam mong guilty yung client mo. And this was particularly, it's an interesting point here na lawyers, kung yung client mo ay binigyan ka ng document, and sinabi nga, huwag mong papakita yan, huwag mong papakita, bawal mong pakita yan. Lawyers can't actually break confidentiality. The duty of confidentiality in lawyers. You can't break that confidentiality. But you also have a duty. We also have a duty not to mislead the court. So if that particular point comes up, natatanungin na, may bank account sa Switzerland ba o wala? Sabi dito wala. But actually, pinakita ng client mo na may bank statement sa Switzerland, pero sinabi niyo na huwag mong pakita. What you have to do then, what we normally do, what the lawyer can do, is to say, I can't act for you anymore. I have to stop acting for you. I have to cease instruction, to stop representing you. Because you can't do, you're not telling the court, bound by duty of confidentiality, may give up, you may break ang confidence ng client mo. But actually, you're also not misleading the court. So that would stop us lawyers from misleading the court. Although obvious na, pag ganun na nangyari, parang, alam na, ano ba nangyayari doon? But at least you're not saying kung ano yung hindi mo binibreak yung confidence. So also that's very, very serious. Because the lawyer can just say, nope, can't do that. Because I have a GP who's an officer of the court na hindi sila misleading. So that, again, quite very serious, very heavy in a consequence. So the moral of the story is actually, oh my God, give full, frank, complete, and clear disclosure sa form. Lahat ilagay mo. And the lawyers would do their best to argue their case for you. And actually, pag nilagay mo lahat sa muna, you lay it on the table, we lawyers could do our job better. Kasi naman tinago mo and you have to do the cleanup operation later. We have to mitigate the situation later and regularize the situation. It's mahirap. It will cause friction. It will diminish yung goodwill sa negotiation. So that's not good either. Imbes na pwedeng may bandwidth for negotiation with the other side, maiinis na yung kabila kasi wala nang trust factor eh. Bakit niyo tinago yan? Tapos ngayon nyo lang ilalagay. So, there are merits, may advantages for hindi lang siguro, di baka makuha na nila yan. Let's just do our jobs properly. Give us a chance to do our jobs properly because we can do our jobs properly. If tutulungan nyo rin kami with giving full, frank, and clear disclosure. We have a good slate to work with. We can maximize the negotiation bandwidth with the other side. We can say to the court that we've done our best, and kung yung kabila ang naughty, you can come back to the court and say, well, sila yung hindi nagpa-play ball. You can't do that kung yung partido mo is also not playing ball. Hindi mo pwedeng ituro yung blame if kayo din hindi din ganun ka-behave sa litigation. So again, the moral of the story is give full and frank disclosure. That will give your lawyers the best ammunition to do their jobs properly, and will also give the best chance for a settlement to happen.
Okay, yes, ayan, no? Okay. Ayun, pinag-uusapan, no? Yung, patient talaga. Yung confidentiality, no? Attorney, okay.
Duty of confidentiality.
Duty of confidentiality. You were mentioning about, for example, di ba, pagka, let's say, may tinatago yung client, halimbawa, tapos parang siguro ayaw niyang malaman ng kabilang partido. Sinabi mo yung ano yata yung abogado would cease representing, will tell the client, I will cease to represent you. And if that happens, for example, pwede yan.
Yeah.
If that happens, hindi ba obvious ngayon doon sa kabilang partido na they can now chase up dahil mukha yatang ayaw na i-represent nung abogado. Mukhang this is an indication that yung other party is hiding something. So yung lawyer ba nung isa sabi niya mukhang I can sense something eh. Is that an indication, like for example you cease representing na yung partner na nire-represent halimbawa may gustong itago?
They could read a lot into it. That's one thing. They could read that. However, lawyers see acting for clients for a number of reasons like that. But also, hindi nabayaran yung bill, hindi nabayaran yung invoice, hindi nabayaran yung billable hour, or sometimes just they ended up not liking each other anymore. So yes, it will create an indication, but that's not the only reason why a lawyer would stop acting. And half the time people just, they might sense something, but equally that's better because you're not breaking your duty of confidentiality. And you're also not misleading the court. That's going to be the happy medium. Yun ang pwede mong magawa in the first instance. And it's up to your client. And that's how you can say, you can persuade your client to disclose it. And you say, look, if you do that, I'm not gonna have any choice but to stop representing you. And if I stop representing you, baka maamoy ng kabila na may something. And that's not going to be good for you either. So, at the end of the day, the advice to them, as long as you give that advice na pag umalis ka, ganun din. And the next lawyer, being an officer of the court, would probably be stuck with the same thing. So the best thing for them to do is just to say, look, disclose the evidence and we'll deal with it.
One of the consequences you mentioned ata, no, because parang contempt of court if you don't comply or something is imprisonment. Ano yan?
Correct.
Ano yan mo? 1 day, 2 days, 1 month? Ano yung imprisonment na
6
yan?
months. In the case
6
of
months.
Mr. Young, 6 months.
Wow, 6 months.
Pretty
Matagal-tagal
serious.
yun ah. Oo,
Matagal din yun.
yun lang maaresto ka, natulog ka sa kulungan mahirap na eh. 'Di ba? How much more
Yeah,
kung
6
6 months?
months. 45 million ang tinago ni Mr. Young. 45 million. This is
Depende ba sa ano? Does it depend on the amount that's being
No, it depends on severity. It depends
severity?
on the severity.
Okay.
It depends on the severity of the contempt of court.
Two scenarios, attorney. Two scenarios. During the, how do you call it? Would you say pendency of the proceedings or yung divorce proceedings? Would you say that? Okay. I don't know. During the time na nagdi-divorce na. So, two scenarios.
Messenger video.
Si Ma'am Cora.
Hello.
Bakit ka?
Si Ma'am Cora, tumatawag.
Hello, Ma'am Cora? Hello? Ma'am Cora?
Ma'am Cora.
Hello?
Yes, Ma'am Cora. Kumusta? Yeah, natawag ka. May show tayo ni Attorney Danna QUinto. Yes. Oh.
Hindi ko nga makita eh. Kaya ako nag-aalala. Bakit kaya?
Naku, may problema si Ma'am Cora. Pagka hindi napanood pa lang, malaking problema sa buhay talaga. Oh, we love you, ha, Ma'am Cora, ha? Hindi kaya wala na yung computer mo? May nagnakaw?
Hindi naman. Pero sige, subukan ko ulit. I-ano ko ulit.
Good evening,
Ayun.
Ma'am Cora.
Oh, good evening, Ma'am Cora. Sabi ni Danna.
Ma'am Cora. Ma'am Cora, good
Attorney
evening.
Danna, I miss you. Hindi
Ah,
ko makita sa ano ko.
I miss you daw. Sabi ni, nadinig mo ba? Sabi niya, I miss
I
you.
miss you too.
I miss you too. We miss you. Oh, sabi sa iyo, not watching the show is missing half of their lives, no? Sige, Ma'am Cora, sige. Sige, makakahabol ka pa. Siguro, you still have ano.
Nakapal
Ha?
ko pa. Hintayin natin
sige.
si Ma'am Cora.
Alright, si Ma'am Cora. Ayan, bye-bye. Ayan, okay. Ayan, okay. Mo kasi siyempre mga family natin yan, di ba? Part of our social family bubble, di ba? Virtual bubble, oo. Kaya okay lang yan. Tumawag siya, no?
Napatawag talaga si Ma'am Cora.
Oo, hindi daw siya makapanood. Pero showing naman yata tayo. You can see us. Meron nga tayong viewer from sa Iraq to. Teka na, pakita ko lang, attorney. Na meron tayong viewer from Iraq. Nanonood siya rito. Bino mo, naligaw siya rito. Pero okay lang. Welcome kayo, kabayan. Ayan, sabi ni, good evening po, Sir Sonny Laragan, watching from Iraq. Ayun.
Naku, Maricris, good evening.
Marigis
Good evening,
Abulyon.
nakakatuwa
Ayun,
naman.
nakakatuwa. Bumati siya, yung ating binati natin. Siguro, baka nakagat niya yung, nagising siya because binati natin. Ayan,
Evelyn Rafael, yes.
Good evening, Sonny and Attorney Danna. Pero bakit kaya yung pangalan mo dahil siguro ikaw special, kaya naka all caps ka, no? Sorry na late ako. Nakatulog kasi ako. Anyway, nandito naman ako watching you both. May mga consequences, no? May consequences pag na-late ka ng panood. Ayan, joke lang. Love natin to siya, no?
Emmeline, nag-send ako ng message sa messenger mo nung Sabado. Nag-greet ako sa'yo. Happy birthday. Sana nakuha mo.
Happy birthday, Emily.
Nag-direct message ako. Hinanap ko talaga si Emily sa Facebook.
Sa Facebook. Hindi, kasi niyayaya tayo. Ikaw naman, Emily, may social distancing . Tapos di ba? O baka mamaya, tayo. Magalitan tayo. Teka muna. Analu, pwesto. Ito lang. Good evening, Attorney Danna and Kuya Sonny. Nasa siya? Nasa sa ibang page siya. Analu, punta ka rin sa Filipino TV Europe, no? Diyan ka magpunta. Tapos ito, si Virginia Alona, sabi niya, good evening, Sonny and Attorney Danna QUinto, mabuhay, Legal Advice Corner, stay safe. Ayan, thank you, si Virginia Alona. Virginia, andito ka dapat, no? Ayan. Okay, tanong ko lang bago ako na bago ako na wala, no? Good evening po, ma'am. Danna Quinto watching from Iraq. Ayun. Okay, sige.
Yun.
Alright. Attorney, ganito. Ongoing yung, yung divorce, no, di ba? Naghihiwalay. Dalawang senaryo. Ongoing ang divorce at saka tapos na. Katatapos lang, let's say, one day after. Ano ba, kailan ba finality? May parang decision coming from the judge? Yung date ba na nakasulat? Yun ang final na? Yun na yun?
Finances.
Okay.
The finances. Normally, just to stop you, magkaiba yung pag-divorce sa pag-deal ng finances, ha? Magkaiba po yun.
Magkaiba.
People can get it. Magkaiba po yun. Magkaiba.
So attorney, ganito.
May-
Ganito ang situation. Oo. Okay pa naman, maliwa.
May nag-close po ata may nag-close po ata ng ko eh. Dali lang po But it's fine.
Hindi,
It's
pero
fine.
we can see you. We can see you, attorney. We can see you. Unless you want, gusto mo buksan yung ilaw o hindi? Okay na muna?
Okay lang.
Sige, okay.
Maganda naman po ata yung lighting, di ba?
Pero, so, iba yung financing. Pwede pala ma-divorce na, pero hindi pa tapos yung financing? Ganun ba yun? Yung financials?
Correct. Yes, correct. But I would really suggest for my client, we highly recommend not to proceed with the divorce, with yung final stage ng divorce, unless naayos na yung finances. But sometimes, for some reason, na-divorce na nila yung isa't isa, pero wala silang clean break. Yung tinatawag namin is clean break order. Hindi sila kumuha from the court. They can still say na hindi na natapos yung financial nila kasi wala namang clean break, walang agreement, etc.
So, kailan matatapos yan? Is they still have to show the court na tapos na kami talaga sa financials? O hindi na? Wala na yun. Hindi na pinag-uusap. Kasi sabi mo, three stages yan, di ba? 3 parts yan, di ba? Sabi mo, dati may sa children, ganyan, sa pera, at sa no? Pero, kasi gusto ko, itatanong ko lang sana kanina, attorney, kung habang nagdi-divorce, nanalo ng lottery, at yung isang senaryo, nanalo ng lottery after nung divorce. Pero sabi mo nga, may financials. Let's say, kailan natatapos yung financials? Wala bang, para prescription period or, ha?
Wala pong prescription period yan. Walang prescription
Hindi,
period.
paano kung nanalo na, may divorce na, habang nagdi-divorce, hindi pa tapos, pati financials, pinag-uusapan, divorce, tapos nagkaroon na ng final divorce, no? Nanalo ng lottery, hati kagad sila? Hati ba sila? Nung napalalo ng isa?
Sasabihin mo, it's what we call post-separation accrual. Kasi sasabihin ng korte, kung talagang wala na kayo, kung wala naman kayong pag-uusapan na finances, it's fine. You can carry on with your life and sasabihin mo lang post-separation accrual na you carried on by implication sa conduct nyo. Nung nag-split kayo, wala naman kayong hinati, wala kayong matrimonial property. However, saying that, yung sinabi mo, habang nagpa-finances, when you're still dealing with the finances, kung napunta yung lottery, if you win the lottery, then that's included. That's included in the disclosure. Disclose mo yan eh. Ano mo yan eh. The obligation to disclose is an ongoing disclosure. Ongoing disclosure. Hanggang matapos kayo via settlement.
Pero paano kayo matatapos? When do you pero kailan kayo natapos? Halimbawa, okay na. Kailan mo talaga officially masasabi na tuldo ka na yung financials natapos?
So via settlement, natatakan na yung consent order nyo. So you have this order and you send it to the court and the court would stamp it. Or hindi kayo nag-agree but you start a financial proceedings. This is different from divorce proceedings, Mr. Laragan. This is absolutely different from divorce. When you go to financial proceedings, kung hindi kayo nag-settle, there will be a final hearing. Just like any litigation, there will be a final hearing. Pag sinabi yung final hearing, magbibigay ng final order yung korte. Now this is the problem. Kung wala kayong clean break, kung sinabi doon na wala kayong clean break and nagbabayad ka ng spousal maintenance, so wala kayong clean break kasi nagbabayad ka ng spousal maintenance. And then nanalo ng lottery bigla. Kasi yung spousal maintenance yan eh. Kung ano lang yung kaya mo. Kung ano lang yung kaya mo at that time. Nanalo ng lottery bigla. That could be a door. Dahil wala kayong clean break. That could be a little door to say, ay nako, I'm gonna go back for what we call a variation of the consent order. Kasi sasabihin mo, the landscape has changed. The landscape has changed now.
Ka-AV ka na ni Kuya. May problema sa mga kapitbahay, sa trabaho. O kaya naman kay Mister o kay Mrs. Away tungkol sa mana, mga may utang, mga aksidente, daing o laban sa ospital or sa NHS, harassment, o baka naman may stalker ka na gusto mong ireklamo. Punta na sa DV Solicitors para matulungan ka pagdating sa mga litigations at iba pang mga legal concerns. DV Solicitors at 2nd floor, Howard House, St. John Street, Bedford, MK42 0DJ. Tumawag sa 01234-350-244 or 01234-225-188 o kaya naman mag-email sa d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. Visit our website at www.dvsolicitors.com.
Okay, tuloy-tuloy tayo sa ating program. Balik na tayo, attorney. Yes, nawala tayo for a while.
Nagkaroon
No?
ng mini brownout dito.
Oo,
Kala
mini
ata
brownout.
humina.
Oh, maganda pinag-uusapan kasi natin no. Ayan at okay na, okay na yung yung lighting no, kompleto na from both sides of your face, kitang-kita na. Attorney, yun lang. Ngayon pala, ito lumilinaw ng konti sa ating mga kababayan, hindi porke pala na divorce na no, merong dahil ongoing pa yan, pwede palang ma-divorce na, pero yung sa bata, sa financials, pinag-uusapan
Correct.
pa, no? Oo. Okay.
What you need para tapos na is a clean break order. Pero hindi
Clean break
parating
order ang tawag doon. Okay,
clean break order. Ngayon, kung wala kayong clean break dahil kailangan mo magbayad ng spousal maintenance, dahil yun ang
Normally,
nararapat.
lalaki yan, di ba? Lalaki yan. Nasa lalaki na
Yeah, normally
Okay.
at the moment, but may
Okay.
mga instances na ngayon ng babae actually. But
Okay.
yes, in normal circumstances.
So, lalaki, lumaki ang, nanalo ng lottery. Ngayon, meron siyang nakaset na bibigay doon sa parang sustento niya, di ba? Oo,
Correct.
pero ngayon, lalaki na. So, dahil sa
Pwede
nanalo,
mag-apply.
pwede mag-apply yung babae.
Kailangan mag-apply. Kailangan mag-apply yung babae. However, balik na rin natin yung scenario.
Yun nga, balik na natin. Yung babae naman nanalo. Oo.
Pwede rin mag-apply yung lalaki.
Ng
Sasabihin
ano?
ng lalaki, sasabihin niya, i-vary yung consent order. Di ko na kailangan bayaran ng spousal maintenance. Yung babae.
Ganun, no.
Sabihin niya. Kasi nag-change na rin yung landscape niya. Hindi niya na kailangan ng spousal maintenance ko. So he too can apply. That's the interesting part.
Pero doon sa bawat spouse na yun, kung sino man ang manalo, hindi sila pwedeng mag-claim, no? Wala na, no? Kumbaga, sarado na o bukas pa rin, open pa rin. Unless wala pa
Kung may clean
yung
break sila, kung
clean
may
break.
clean break order sila, very unlikely. Kasi clean break na eh. Clean break na yun. Pero kung wala silang clean break order, yung clean break order is pag wala kang spousal maintenance, yun natapos na talaga. Yung wala na yung mga, iba yung child maintenance hindi yan, iba, separate po yan. This is, we're just talking about the marriage, we're just talking about the finances. Kapag may, you have to look at it as a financial link. Pag may financial link pa rin kayo, like that, yung monthly na sustento via consent order, pwedeng may maliit na door doon to ask for a variation. Depende sa kung ano yung circumstances ng tao that time. Now, kung wala na talaga, sabi nyo, tag-isa tayo ng bahay, dalawa yung bahay nyo, tag-isa kayo ng bahay, eto na ha, simple settlement. Sabihin, pareho kayo ng income, wala kayong anak, it makes very sense, 50-50. So, isa yung bahay A, akin yung bahay B, goodbye, thank you, so long. 1-2 years later, and then you sign this consent order na nagsasabi, this is clean break as to income and capital. And then 2 years later, nanalo ng lottery yung kabilang partido. Unlikely, sasabihin ng court, no, this is not, it doesn't change the deal. Hindi ko i-change yung order na or yung napag-agree nyo because at that particular time, reasonable yan, and wala na kayong link. Wala na, completely disentangled na kayo sa isa't isa nung nanalo ng lottery yung kabilang partido. That's the difference between those two scenarios.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So the
All right.
first one is may financial link pa kayo. The first
Okay.
one, yung nakapagpatok siya, is may financial link pa kayo. Meron pa kayong maliit na link together kasi sinusustentohan ka pa. So you get a chance to say, lakihan mo yung sustento. Kasi malaki na yung capital mo ngayon. The second one is wala kayong financial link. Wala kayong complete financial link because completely na separate nyo. Full and final settlement, clean by quarter.
Attorney, wala ako masyadong alam sa ganyan, no? Halimbawa, kailan ba ang financial for the kids? Hanggang 18 ba? 17, 18, ganyan?
18, yeah.
Oo. Pwede na bang bayaran in full nung kunyari nung lalaki? Kunyari halimbawa kung may 5 years yun o ilang years pa multiplied by, 'di ba, monthly ano yan, 'di ba? Parang sustento.
It depends on your income.
Depende sa income. Okay. Gusto mo nang
wag nating i-mix yung child maintenance sa spousal maintenance. Child maintenance is completely different.
Spousal maintenance. Okay.
Ang spousal maintenance, pwede mong bayaran ng i-capitalize mo siya na pwede mong sasabihin mo, yung 20 years gagawin ko ng ganito and I will pay a smaller figure because money now is you get your cash now. The child maintenance, we wouldn't recommend that because it's better to just keep paying every month. But that's separate. Hindi yan entanglement dun sa asawa kasi ano yan sa bata, para yan sa benefit ng bata.
Okay.
So that's completely different.
Okay. Ito may tanong si Edgar okay. Something about mistress, no? Okay. Attorney ito. Sabi niya, attorney, do you mean, sabi niya, dapat ko bang i-disclose mga bagay na naibigay ko sa mistress? Consider na lifestyle yun. Ano yan? Like mga LV or Gucci na bag. May minimum and maximum value amounts ba na dapat disclosure? Disclose?
Yes.
So pwede habulin yung sa mga mistress, attorney? Na habulin ba?
When you do a Form E, Mr. Laragan, you have to produce 12 months of bank statements.
Mm-hmm.
So makikita doon. Makikita ko, bumili ka ng Gucci, hindi ka naman nag-Gucci, di ba? Asan yung Gucci mo? 4,000 or Chanel na bag, 4,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds. Lawyers can find that. Lawyers can follow the money. Kung saan mo winawaldasin. We can make the argument na yung mga pera na yan ay we call it add back argument. We consider na nakuha mo na yung parte mo ha, winaldas mo yan, hindi namin alam kung saan yan nanggaling, but ganyan yung yung pagwaldas mo ng pera. So they can follow the money. In terms of looking for disclosure, it's about disclosing 12 months bank statements. In terms of personal possessions, 500 pounds and above yung disclosable sa form. Nakalagay doon sa form mismo.
Okay. So less than 500, pwede na hindi disclose, no?
It says hindi mo i-disclose doon, pero makikita pa rin doon sa paper trail ng bank
Makikita sa
statement.
paper trail.
Kung saan nanggaling. Tapos doon namin tatanungin kung saan nanggaling, anong transaction yan.
Okay.
Sa Selfridges or sa Harrods. Anong ginagawa mo dyan?
Okay.
Marami kami nakikita sa bank statement.
Sa bank statements, sa 12 statements,
ginagawa nila.
pati credit card statements, bank statements, no? Yung mga current accounts and credit card accounts. Kung marami credit cards, kailangan nyo hanapin nyo, attorney. Lahat yung kailangan, disclose mo lahat, pakita mo. Ganon.
Everything.
Okay.
Is disclosable.
Ito, may question tayo rito, no? Attorney ito, no? Si Almira, no? Sabi niya, walang-wala po ako ngayon at yung best friend ko ay sinisingil po ako sa utang kong 6,000 pounds. Makukulong po ba ako sakalit di ko siya mabayaran?
Almira, the straightforward answer is no. It's a civil matter, hindi yan criminal matter dito, so hindi ka makukulong. ang mangyayari is you might have a judgment against you, a civil judgment, which may have an impact on your credit rating. However, kahit magka-judgment ka, the court will still ask you kung ano yung kaya mong bayaran. So, pwede mong i-disclose doon na walang-wala ka, and ang kaya mo lang bayaran or wala ka talagang kaya bayaran or £5 per month or whatever. Now, I would suggest na wag paabutin sa korte kasi nga may impact dun sa pag nakuha mo yung judgment, may impact na sa credit rating mo for 6 years. Hindi rin if you can provide evidence na talagang hindi kaya ngayon and enter into an installment agreement na dahan-dahan, kahit maliit, dahan-dahan. Kasi ganun din naman yung makukuha ng best friend mo sa korte, dahan-dahan, whatever kung ano yung kaya mo. Hindi ka pipilitin ng korte kung talagang walang-wala ka at hindi mo na mapakain yung pamilya mo at hindi ka rin ikukulong. So, the practical advice is if you can enter, renegotiate an installment. And para sa kanya, kung talagang gusto niya ng extra comfort, you can put that into writing na ito yung installment na babayaran mo. That's my practical advice. Pero hindi ka makukulong.
Okay, ayan. That's somehow medyo may good news din sa'yo maski paano 'yon. Ayan. Okay, ito si Ma'am Cora ito na. Sabi niya lang bumati siya lang. Sabi niya final ayan. Ito na ako, mga dear. Yan, nakahabol na ako. Ayan. Many thanks, Edgar, for this. Nako, si Edgar yung ating taga-sundo, no? Thank you very much. Ma'am Cora, thank you, ha? Alam mo, nababagabag sila kapag hindi tayo napapanood, eh. So, which is good, no? That's nice. That's what family is, you know? Magkakapamilya tayo.
Absolutely.
Nag-aalala kayo, no? So, na yan, hindi kayo nakakapanood. So, thank you. Thanks a lot, Ma'am Cora. We will love you, no? We will love you. Okay. Meron tayong isang question pa rito, attorney. Okay. Question po. Okay. Okay. Ito. Tatlo po kaming magkakaibigan na nagtulong-tulong upang umupa ng kwarto. Kaming tatlo ang nakausap ng may-ari. Hindi na po kami nagkakaigin ng mga kasama ko. Kung gusto ko na pong bumukod at lumipat ng tirahan, obligado pa po ba ako sa mga kasama ko na magbayad ng share kahit na hindi na magiging kasama nila kung sakasakali? Siguro yung pag-alis niya, si Alma, no? Attorney.
Oo, Alma.
Ano ba to?
Alma,
Go ahead,
depende
attorney.
sa sinainan mo na kontrata. Kasi minsan, yung contract, and we had this, Mr. Laragan, before sa tenant, also applies sa mga pagrenta ng kwarto. Kasi it would say they're jointly and severally liable. At kayong tatlo ay sabay-sabay na, kumbaga, you're treated as a unit na kailangan na potentially liable ka pa rin kahit umalis ka. What you can do practically is to find a replacement, pero kailangan pa rin yan aprubahan ng landlord. So it's it's quite a sticky situation. Tingnan mo kung ano yung terms ng yung agreement nyo. Tingnan mo kung ano yung nakalagay dun sa papel. And also, tingnan nyo, mag-usap kayo yung tatlo kasi sino ba naman ang gustong hindi komportable sa tinitirahan, di ba? Sila din siguro, and ikaw din. Find a solution at maybe ang solusyon ay makakuha ng bagong third member dun sa third na uupa ng kwarto. So, ayun ang solusyon, and then you have to go back to the landlord and kailangan nila mag-sign ulit ng bagong tenancy. So, that's my advice to you. Usap kayo, hanap ng solusyon, potentially hanap ng third replacement. Kasi it's likely na jointly at severally liable kayong tatlo dun sa tenancy nyo. But actually, check first kung ano yung sinainan nyo.
Okay, Alma. So, okay, at least, ayan. Oo. Kung makakahanap ko ng another person to
Hanap
replace
ka
you.
na another person, yeah.
Okay.
Pero
Okay,
kailangan
good.
probahan ng landlord yun, Alma. Kailangan, kasi sasabihin ng landlord, favorite ko si Alma kasi magaling magbayad yan. Ayoko naman ng kung sino-sino lang. Yun ang pwedeng
Eh,
sabihin
kung,
ng landlord.
kung yan formal yan, attorney, kunyari yan, formal na yan, okay yan ang mangyayari, no? Pero kung let's say, informally, let's say, well, siguro may-ari ng bahay, isang kwarto, pinaupa, tatlo sila doon, normally sa mga Pinoy, ganyan, di ba? O yan, upahan mo lang yun, kasi kasama kayong tatlo dyan. Yung pagka ganun, mahigpit ba? Mas, o pwedeng umalis na lang siya. Siguro, isin na lang yung mga pagmumura sa kanya, basta lang humiwalay siya. Mauobliga pa rin ba siya, attorney? Oy, tatlo tayo nagsama-sama rito, paghahatian natin ng pagbabayad. Yun ang sasabihin ng kanya mga kasamahan.
Potentially, pwede nating sabihin na hindi ka na anuhin yan. Kasi, baka naman pupunta siya ng, may HMO license ba siya? Kasi di ba housing and multiple occupation, actually, kailangan mo ng license niyan kung maraming
Okay.
household, di ba? So that's something, we're working on the premise na may housing HMO license yung landlord mo na pwede siyang magbigay ng mag-assign ng kumbaga licenses dun sa bahay na sub mga kwarto-kwarto, maraming household. In reality, iba yung nangyayari. So, maybe hindi na habulin kasi ayaw na masilipan din. But mas maayos pa rin na kahit ano sa buhay, mas maayos pa rin na maghanap ng solusyon kung kayang hanapan ng solusyon. Kasi meron baka naman may ending na lahat okay, hindi man masaya pero at least lahat pwede makamove on ng maayos.
Usap lang siguro. Kausapin mo rin siguro talaga, no? Oo, dahil siyempre baka hindi ka na rin makatiis na makisama sa kanila, no? They will have to understand that, no? Siguro.
They have to understand that. They have to understand
Pakiusapan na lang. Okay. Well, ayan, no? Yun ang ating last question, attorney, no? Ito si Edgar, ano ito sinasabi ni Edgar na something about a movie ba to?
Sige.
Tama ba yung nangyari sa movie na It Could Happen to You? I don't know. Saan movie yan?
Alam mo anong movie ba yan eh?
Saan movie ba yan?
Natin,
Hindi natin alam kung nasaan yan, no? Marie Chris, mabuhay ka, no? Si Marie Chris talagang nag-enjoy naman sa atin, no? From Iraq, no? Good evening po, Ma'am Danna QUinto, sabi.
Wala na akong...
Di bale, we can check that. Di bale, okay lang.
Next week.
Next week. Ako, alam mo na, conscious tuloy ako dahil pinag-usapan mo yung Cairo, yung mga, ano pa pangalan kanina, yung osteopath. Total, kailangan, diretso ko na talaga yung likod ko dahil, kailangan, di ba? Oo. Sinabi mo sa'yo, attorney, na yung pagtayo mo, yung isang paa mo, gano'n, ang paa naman yata hindi pantay, no? Hindi naman pantay ang left at saka right.
Opo, yung parang na-flat-footed na daw po ako, parang tinanong ako kung may injury ba ako sa knee. 2 beses niya talaga tinanong sa akin. Naka-injury ka ba sa knee?
Bakit daw? Anong nangyari? Bakit niya napansin? Bakit niya sinabi?
Siguro just with the way na nagpo-fall yung feet ko. Just the way ng position ng feet. Kasi ganun sila makikita nila. Just by looking at you, just by looking at how you stand, kung paano ka maglakad, pwede nilang makikita na, hindi, I think ang nakita niya, mas mataas yung kabilang hip ko, parang medyo mas mataas yung isang shoulder ko actually.
Isang shoulder.
Just slightly. And yung hip, just very, very minimally na mas mataas yung isa. And then doon niya, in-adjust niya yung yung L3 at L4 ko medyo stuck daw so he had to get it.
Okay. Lalaki, attorney, lalaki, ha?
Lalaki pero talagang wala siyang
okay.
Wala naman siya, proper gentleman pero siya, get back into the business talaga. Almost na he was good. He was very good.
Okay, well, that's good. Pelikula ni
Take
Nicolas
care of your
Cage.
spine, mga kababayan.
Take care.
Yeah.
Wala ka naman scoliosis, wala kang ganun, wala kang little minor or anything. Good for you, no? Good for you. Oo. Wow. Mahirap na, parang napapadiretso na tayo ngayon. Pati nga sa Yes. Oh, di pati sa pagluto nga, nung unang luto ko, gumaganon ako. Sabi ganun, dapat pati yung posture mo, kailangan maayos.
Oh, dapat, dapat
Kailangan di pa lang nakayuko masyado, kailangan pwedeng ano
ah,
pa rin, no?
opo,
But
pwedeng ganun, yeah.
anyway, anyway, naku, nakakatuwa naman.
Napasarap
Napag,
yun.
napasarap yung ating kwentuhan na dahil marami tayong pinag-usapan kung paano kang, imagine from for taekwondo, di ba? And nag well, tennis eventually, tapos dancing na you hurt yourself, ganyan, no? Masyado
No,
kang,
it was yoga. It was yoga. It wasn't
yung sa
dancing.
yoga
It was
yon,
yoga.
yoga.
Dancer's pose. Dancer's pose, but it wasn't
Dancer's pose
dancing.
ang
But
tawag
yeah,
nun.
that was
Ayun,
the
oh.
name of the pose. Nakapag
Wow.
ano sa akin.
Akala ko
Dancer's pose.
nag-dancing-dancing ka.
Yeah.
Hindi pala.
Hindi,
Dancer's
hindi
pose ang
talaga. Yun po
tawag sa
talaga hindi
yoga.
ko kaya.
Oh, okay.
Yun po talaga yung
Wow.
hindi ko kaya.
Hindi, ano pa ba plano? Sabi mo, you're more of a nerdy thing, that you write, read, ganyan, no? Reading, no? Pero ano
Yeah.
very sporty. Meron pa bang nasa isip mo bang i-gawin? Would you think of doing skydiving? Have you done skydiving? Yan, kaya mo.
I haven't
Yung
done
bungee jumping,
skydiving.
nasubukan mo na ba yan?
Eh, Hindi rin. I'd like to do that one day. Yeah. Yeah.
Ito ba
I
yan,
don't mind
bungee,
that. Yeah.
nakatali sa paa, di ba? Tapos biglang you're gonna fall, di ba? Oo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yung mga zip
That's
lining,
okay.
baliwala sa yan. You don't mind yung mga zip lining.
I love ziplining. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done that. Wala
At
akong okay lang yan.
dito sa amin, attorney, may malapit. Hindi ko alam kung merong theme park na malapit sa'yo. Dito meron kami Thorpe Park, no? Pero ako, talagang takot ako sa heights. Takot ako sa mga, hindi ko kaya sumakay ng mga rides. Ikaw, kaya mo?
Opo, yeah. It's
Ba,
fine.
magaling talaga naman yung
Pero
attorney, no?
I still feel na ano pa rin po ako. Naninervyos pa rin ako. Yung nerves, andun pa rin. But once you're in there, it's
Wala
quite
na.
fun. The same
Pero
sa
at least,
classes. Yeah, wala naman. But it's okay. May healthy amount of fear is good.
okay. Well, nakakatuwa. Maraming natutuwa sa iyo. No? Sabi, wow, ibang klase talaga si attorney. Talagang adventurer talaga, no? Talagang, may ibang tao talagang natatakot na, di ba? Sa'yo,
We only get one
try
life,
these things.
Mr. Laragan.
Tama
We
yan.
only get one life, so
Only one
you
life.
know, we
Let's
better
make the
make the
best.
most out of it.
Tama
Yeah,
yan.
make the
Tama yan.
best out of it. Laugh a lot. You know, have adventures, luto, kain, tawa. Yun lang naman
Exactly.
di ba?
Lalo na ngayon. We only have one life. Pero yung life natin, delikado. Baka mamaya mahawa kayo, magkasakit kayo. Because of the COVID, it's still here. It's not gonna go away in a month's time or a couple of months. It might take years. And they were talking about the third wave pa eh. Na baka maaaring magkaroon ng third wave, di ba? Some of the government
Exactly.
experts, no? Mga scientists. So sana hindi
Exactly.
mangyari. Sana tuloy-tuloy na. Ako, I'm looking forward to going out. Ikaw ba, kung sakasakaling given the chance to travel, saan mo gusto pumunta?
Pilipinas.
Pilipinas
po.
talaga. Okay. The family, no?
Pilipinas talaga.
The family. Tama yan. Tama
Uwing
yan.
umina. Tama.
Dapat sana,
Over
sana,
Sana.
sana mangyari na yan, attorney. Sana. Tsaka gumanda na rin sa Pilipinas.
Yeah.
It has recently been added to the red list, di ba? Yung mga banned countries,
yeah.
no? Together with Pakistan,
Opo.
Bangladesh.
Pakistan din. Yeah, Bangladesh. Yeah.
Kasama na ngayon dito sa latest
Ingat po mga
list.
natin sa Pilipinas. Ingat po tayo and kapit lang. Kapit lang. We'll get through this. We'll
get through this.
Kapit lang.
Okay, attorney.
And enjoy life.
Enjoy life.
Enjoy
We
life
have to
while
enjoy life now.
we're here.
Ayan,
Yeah.
enjoy life.
Yeah. Enjoy
Ano
lang.
to? Samahan na natin sa speed shooting. Ayan. Speed shooting.
Yun yung gusto ni Edgar. Yes. I'd like to try that.
Yan.
Yes,
Try.
Edgar.
Samahan na natin ng speed
Naman
shooting.
yung speech
Sagot
meeting,
kita.
sagot kita. Sige, let's go. Let's go. Let's
Go.
do
Yes, go. Everything go. Sabi nga, life is short. So, let's make the best of it. Ayan, attorney, baka may mga shoutouts ka, magpapaalam tayo. Baka may nakalimutan kang biglang sumagi sa isip mo, no? That you'd like to let our kababayans know or you mention, go right ahead, no? At saan kanila? How do they contact you nga pala, no? Ayan, sige.
Yan muna. You can contact me at d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. And ang direct dial ko po ay 01234-225-188. Again, that's d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. And the telephone number is 01234-225-188. Again, salamat. Maraming salamat, Mr. Laragan. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga ka-remote support bubble natin. It's been an incredible journey. Para sa akin, this is one of those enjoyable things in life, yung mga little pleasures of life. To come home every Tuesday night sa community natin. So thank you as well for giving me this slice of happiness. And I'll say goodnight with that. Find things that makes you smile. Find things that makes you happy. And sa buhay, kung may problema, hanap ng solusyon. That's really it. Hanap ng solusyon. Move on to more positive things. Move on to happier things. And I wish that for all of you. May you have a more positive, not just Tuesday, but a happy rest of the week. And may you always choose to be happy.
Well, same to you rin, attorney. Actually, kita mo, nami-miss, same to you, teka, asa na ba to? Hindi ako ayan, okay. Same to you rin. Same to you, attorney. Dahil kita mo naman, one example, parang may family na tayo, familia ka na, and yun nga, kamukha ni Ma'am Cora kanina, she had to go out of her way, no? Alam niya may show dito, tilawagan tayo just to let us know na hindi siya nakapanood, no? Ayan, nakapanood. So, sa atin hindi niya tayo mapanood. Parang namang problema siya. Parang hindi matatapos ang gabi niya, araw niya, kung hindi tayo nakasama. No, so that's nice, no? At least we're one whole big family dito. Virtually, dito ho sa atin. And you are the reason, attorney, that for making this happen. Dahil, syempre, this program, your program, is the one that's gluing us all together on a Tuesday night, no? So, maraming salamat din sa'yo. Okay, well, I guess sa pangalan ni Attorney Danna QUinto, ito po si Sonny Laragan, nag-e-echo ho ng mga sinasabi ho kanina ni Attorney. So, let's do it again. Let's do a happy Tuesday next Tuesday. Till then, Sonny, me, and Attorney Danna saying good night, sleep tight, and God bless. Good night.
Good night.